What's up, guys? In today's video, we have a banger. We have William Brown coming from Bali. So we're on a 12-hour time zone difference. Got 4 a.m. and 4 p.m. over here. William, kick it off. Everyone knows who you are, but let's hear the intro.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, people know me best for the last e-learning company that I grew from 0 to 16.4 mil over 5 years and then sold last year to Highview, a private equity firm in America. But I've really been doing entrepreneurial stuff since I was super young. You know, when I was skateboarding, I decided to film and edit videos and try and sell them to my friends. When I was doing graffiti, I started a graffiti magazine. When I got into music, I started making my own records and then got signed to a decent label. And that was my first ever proper career. I DJ'd in over 45 countries all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Learned a lot from that I carried into business. Then I started trading financial markets to make more money. That turned into the e-learning company. And yeah, when I exited that company, my plan was just to have a one-person business. You know, I didn't want to have a team. I didn't want to run paid ads. That almost killed me in the last business. To me, it was just so fucking stressful, man. The ads, the team. And when I was lucky enough to exit, honestly, my plan was just make a few YouTube videos, get a few one-to-one coaching clients and just chill. The YouTube channel grew really, really, really fast, right off the bat. And all of a sudden, I've got another fucking consulting company now. And it takes us to where we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny because I didn't know who you were prior, and I was probably one of those, I definitely was one of those people who was served that like initial video, those first couple that you just uploaded that were just raw, just like unfiltered. I hadn't heard of your stuff before, and I was like, oh, interesting. Like you give to me and, you know, the OGs of our era, remember the oven stuff, and like you just give that thought process, that vibe, and, you know, he crushed. So I want to deep dive this. So usually these are pretty tactical. You've got, you know, mid 6-figure guys, 7-figure a month guys are kind of like the main pocket. And then of course you're going to have your beginners that are going to come through here. So let's break into the company because I want to give some context and pick your brain selfishly, but like what was the actual monetization models? What was the whole last business that you just sold?
Yeah. Well, it was 95% paid ads driven. So we had a tiny bit of organic, but it was, for the most part, it was faceless. It was really pretty much just paid ads driven. Massive sales team. When I sold the company, it was a team of 9 closers, 3 setters, sales team manager, 3 coaches, and a support guy and a bookkeeper and blah, blah, blah. And it's funny, the month that we signed the LOI was actually our biggest ever month. We did an offer, we did 824K. And that helped with the sale price a bit because they actually captured that month in the price when they calculated the EBITDA. So that was a nice kind of cherry on top. But it was pretty simple. We were just running paid ads, only YouTube ads into a VSL, booking calls, closing calls. We had one front-end offer, which was 6.8K. We had a software, but it was making very little. We had a Mastermind, which was making very little. And it was one of those businesses where it's just banging the front end. You know, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah. Interesting. And then what was the actual content? You said it was like financial market trading stuff or it was consulting or?
Yeah, it was. It was a trading education coaching program. Very, very simple. 2 coaching calls a week and a course, basically.
Interesting. Yeah. And all with YouTube ads.
Only YouTube ads. Yeah, we tested Facebook ads and they were profitable, but nowhere near what we were doing on YouTube. So we were like, let's just go as hard as we can on YouTube. Yeah.
And then the 15 mil in rev, that was that year, that was like in total cash collected and then sold for the...
Yeah, that was the total across the 5 years. And then we exited for 2.6x EBITDA.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, you're one of like the only people, right? I mean, you probably know the list better than I do, but it's what? Hormozy, which was licensing, but info coaching. It's you. And then I've heard there's a couple others that are in like the low 8-figure range, but I don't know. They're like pretty quiet. Jeremy Haynes talks about him a couple times where he's like, oh yeah, you know, we've had clients who do it. And that's, I don't want to say the only spaces he works in, but kind of like closer to that. But super interesting that you're one of the, you know, the ones I can count on a hand who've actually done it.
It's weird, man. Yeah, there's more people that have done it that maybe often you just don't hear about. I heard of one from a friend the other day and I was like, wow, I've never even heard of that company or the exit. So they're out there, but Honestly, I just think that there's a belief in this industry that you can't sell these businesses when, yeah, you absolutely can. You absolutely can. You know, it's just a case of belief, knowing the process, working with a good maybe M&A advisor, and just knowing what to do, really. So
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I have this, like, I talk on here. I'm like, 0.001% are going to actually sell in the info coaching space. And, Iman, all these guys, they all talk about it and just hammer it, how it's just like never going to happen. And then my thought is, of the people that actually try to build for that and actually try and go for it, I bet the hit rate's a lot higher than 0.01%, right? It's in, high single, maybe double digits of the 100 people that have actually tried to do it. There's a handful, right? Which is like much higher hit rate. And I can take that percentage, but the 0.01% is difficult.
yeah, well, dude, I feel like I was very lucky, right? Because I was in a financial literacy mastermind, like way back in, I think it's 2020, with a guy called Dan Bradbury. And the first day of that mastermind, we were having lunch, and Dan said to me, "When do you think you'll sell your business?" And he was like fully serious. And I said to him, "Oh, I can't sell this business. It's like a course coaching business. It's named after me. You can't sell them." And he was like, "Well, yes, you can. The only difference is the buyer and the price. And if you know how to do it and you do it well, you'll sell faster and easier to a better buyer for a better price. And if you don't really know how, or you don't do it well, you'll sell to a worse buyer and it'll be harder for a lower price." And to hear that way back in 2020, I think it just planted the seed in my head. I was like, Dan says I can sell this business. He'd sold 6, 7, 8 other companies, so I trust him and believe him. And when it came to the end of 2022, when I decided that I wanted to sell, I just went back to Dan and said, "Dude, please can you mentor me through the exit?" And so maybe I was lucky to have that belief implanted in my head so early,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm super curious on like the actual detail or like what you had to do to set that up, because we hear all the things and you watch a Hormozy or, even some of these, like I'm in all the groups that are the buy, biz, sell, the online, this, that, and a majority of them are not info coaching education. But the things you hear, right, are like, it's so funny though, that, right, you sold anyway. And it's like the lean team you had, the one traffic source, right, you hear all this list of things that you need, diversification on acquisition, both the traffic source and the models, right? So like different front end models, you need no brand face risk. You said it was faceless, right? So that's interesting. The fulfillment needs to, right? Which is crazy. Like that's amazing that you are, kind of edge case where you didn't check all the boxes based on like the quick things I've heard that you hear are like required. But yeah, so I want to give you some context a little bit, and then I want to hear your take on this. So we're at 130 team right now. We did 30 mil last year in cash collected, 75 now in total. Before that, we were doing 10, 12 million a year, and we were selling an info product that was over the phone. So like lifetime access to Kajabi, the classic, basically the ovens model, the group coaching through calls, and we were selling that. But it was lifetime access, so no MRR, no like future state, and we didn't really have a back end. Like that was kind of, like you said, the volume game, but it was it was like, $1,000, $2,000 in that range. So it was a lot of volume and had high margins for a fulfillment side because it's info instead of, right? So we toggled we left everything the same. So we left all that traffic source acquisition, the funnel, the everything. And instead on the sales call, we just sold a different offer that was one-to-one coaching. And that's what got us from 10 to 30. Right. So just basically just a higher ticket offer. And now you introduce your ARR more or less because you have annual contracts that then they can go for year 2, year 3. And there's like this whole game. Right. So we hammered that with volume. Everything broke. Right. Now you have a whole fulfillment team. So you have 70 coaches on the back end, like literally 70 coaches, 4,000 active members. You're going back and forth. You've got that whole side of the business. And then you have the constant game of the hamster wheel of filling the calendars and doing 150 30-minute calls a day across 20-something reps. So you've got 20 to 30 sales reps, management leaders. We did it with no setters, up to 72 million, no setters. So we just rolled out setters, that whole division. And then you've got your whole fulfillment side. And then as you know, you then have your ops or middle management, leadership, HR, book, like everything you're talking about. So we scaled up so aggressively. We hired before it hurt. We hired when it hurt. Ad margins went from this to this as a percentage. We made more dollars, right, from 10 to 30 in profit, but not like, the margin took a dive. And in end of Q3 into Q4, acquisition was our major issue. So like CPA was going like this. We were trying to do agency thing instead of doing it in-house. So we're paying 130 grand a month to manage $1 million in ad spend. We, similar to you, are 99% basically paid first click. We do have a massive content moat, that like an organic moat that exists mainly for middle and bottom of funnel, right? Like very, very little first click. And yeah, we just like completely rebuilt that whole team, CMO, marketer, like this whole thing internal. Now CPA is like killing it. Now we're doing the same thing with sales. We were, stuck in the mid ones, right? Like 1.5, call it, and like essentially breaking even because of spend and team. Everyone's W-2. So we moved everyone W-2 in the US. So you got 130 people and you're, 20% more than your 1099 wages. You just go down the list and it's like, we're almost building to you have to be above 1.5 to make money a month. And you have to, and you just have to build this in the direction of like, you kind of need, you don't need an exit necessarily to cash flow. You just have to get over that hump until you start to cash flow pretty heavy. And then the real goal of what we're doing here with, W-2 and HR and build that out is to get there, to get an exit. We have had one brand face. We now have multiple brand faces. We've had one acquisition channel, the VSL funnel. We now have 3, and now we have 3 brand faces. So we're going to have 9, right? Different VSL funnels, different low tickets, move to the back, blah, blah, blah. So there's like kind of the context, but I'm like, where are we going? And like, what is necessary to diversify here, to no founder risk here, financials, like how do we make this thing so the financials, the ops and finance side are plug and play, that a PE company looks at it and can, import it basically into their model in 2 seconds instead of have 2 weeks of conversations where we're going back and forth on how they understand things. Like that's where my frame is. And this is still like years to come, I'm imagining, like to hit the numbers we want to, but yeah, man.
Well, dude, you've successfully given me PTSD there, so thank you very much.
Yeah, it's my life. I'm living it daily.
Yeah, dude, it's, oh God. My acquisition was probably the number one most stressful period of my life. I missed my best friend's wedding because it was just a few weeks before we closed. It was a fucking nightmare, but so worth it when we got to it. But anyway, to come to yourself, dude, what number do you want to sell for?
I mean, if we do this the right way, I know 2 guys that have numbers that I want to get to that use the exact same model that are 12 to 15 million a month right now. And it's like, that's not unrealistic for us. That's with core model. We've never optimized for back end, which is like, you can look at the core product as either the back end, the middle, the whatever, but you have some low ticket stuff. And then you have the core thing, which is the one-to-one personalized training. That's a year long. And we have not even touched optimizations for multi-year after that. It's in the fitness space. So like have not even touched multi-years after that, have not touched the downsell continuity. So, you got your personalization. Now you go into groups. So you still get like a little bit of it, but you stay for the community, the access, the app, the stuff. So living in there, we haven't touched physical products. So supplements, we wanted to wait until we were at like 50 million a year-ish doing, good numbers to do supplements in that realm. There's the whole play to do front end supplements. So like, we have friends that do 15 million a month as well that are in physical products with 1 or 2 SKUs. Like there's a whole game to be played here. But if we do that, to answer your question more directly, that could be, let's say it's 30% margins because obviously paid ads heavy. Let's say that's like the target. You're doing 100 and something. You're doing 20, 30, 40 million in EBITDA. Like who knows what that could sell for if structured correctly. You hear once you're in the 10s and 20s, it's like a 10x. You hear. But like, there could be a couple hundred play, or this could be a complete pipe dream and it could just cash flow for X amount of time and just like exist as it exists. Yeah. I've got you, man. I mean, I'm working with a private equity firm right now that are working on an info roll-up. And one of the first things that they said to me was, we need to get above 50 million EBITDA so that we can sell to a good private equity firm and really do something worthwhile. So my first thought when it comes to you is, what do you want to sell for? And if there's not a software component, is there? No, the only like tech component would be basically community layered on. So like, yes, there maybe could be some internal tech at that point, but if it is, it's to service clientele. It's not like a standalone version.
Yeah, got it, man. So what do you want to sell for? There's no software, so you're probably going to be classed as a media business like we were when we sold. So if it's anything like what I learned, 2.5 to about 4x was what my what I was told by my M&A advisor when we were going through the process. So working backwards from that, what do you want to sell for? What would the EBITDA need to be at, let's say, 3x? And then you need to get to that EBITDA. And honestly, if there's one thing that I learned, it's often all this shit that people say is from people that haven't sold, that say like, you need to do this, you need to do this.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I always, yeah.
You know, it's an interesting one for sure. But dude, I've got no doubt that you'll get there. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it's definitely a matter of structure. And like, if you look at the P&L, you look at whatever right now, like it's pain. I'm very honest about that on here. Like I've been making videos for whatever, 78, 90, whatever days, so 80 days today. And, I have videos in there in the beginning where it's like, we're doing 1.5. We have 2 days in a row where we lose like lose on day, which is crazy. Cause like we haven't had that for years, and we were in a rough spot. And now it has, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, like really flipped on its head. It's, in the 100 plus a day, steady state. And that was just some changes that happened in sales. So like marketing, continuing same lead flow. And then it's the people thing, right? At this size for us, what we've seen more and more is just like, it's the people. So trying to replace and then trying to keep culture, trying to keep, performance, trying to keep all of that tied in one is the game that we've gotten to. And like right now, let's say that sales, next it'll be fulfillment, I'm sure. We already broke marketing. Now we're fixing sales and like kind of doing this game. But yeah, I think, what you said for those targets of call it 3x, you hear all the things. And this is where it's like, at what point do you almost like bring an M&A in, even if it's a fractional CFO, fractional COO that comes from private equity, you full hire a COO or CFO that comes in from private equity to run that thing for a year or two to make it so, oh yeah, these, ratios are checked, these hit this. You hear that you get into the, mid 7 or start to get into the 8-figure EBITDA range, the multiple climbs inherently, right? And these are all things you just hear that mean nothing until they're actually in an LOI or even until it closes. Not even the LOI, right? Like, and I understand that. It's that crazy dynamic of like you're building and you're biting the cash to have it in a place that is ready to sell, that could never sell. And like, you're just kind of playing that game. You hear the guys talk about it that are like, oh, you need, optimize for profit, and then if an exit happens, it happens. And that's kind of where my mind's at, is like optimize for that number, because it will drive an exit anyway. But like the game of paying for team and making it a machine, biting the whatever 5 or 10 points that off that of current cash for an exit and a lifestyle, right? That it could be sold or not.
There's so many things. There's so many directions that I want to go with you. I'm trying to just keep it simple, but if I wanted to exit, right, I would just think to myself, well, what am I going to be classed as? In this space, it's going to be media, number one. Number two, what am I likely to get 2.5x to about 4x EBITDA? What do I want to sell for? When I know what I realistically want to sell for, I would just get myself to the EBITDA that I need to be at to get there. The minute that I'm either at the EBITDA or very close, I'd bring in an M&A advisor, okay, build out an IM that I can take out to market. When I've got the investor memorandum, he can go and start sending that out while we're still stabilizing things. Because that's what happened to us, right? We decided we wanted to sell, I think it was like November 2022. And we didn't have a good offer until, I think it was February. We had a VC firm from Canada interested. 2 months fell through. Then we had Highview came along in April, signed the LOI pretty much straight away. And then April, May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, so it took us pretty much 5 full months to sell. But along the way, they were kind of teaching me what they wanted almost. So it wasn't like, we love your business, let's just buy it and go. It was like, can we do this? Can we implement this? Let's stop doing this. Can we get rid of this? So we kind of got it right for them along the way.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, that's cool for both of you, right? It's like you got your exit and they got the business ready, basically, right under your helm at some point for the transition. Like, that's kind of clean. I mean, obviously the 5-6 months was probably a bit painful, but
yeah. and also, we almost lost the sale as well. So I was in England because I was going to celebrate the sale with my family. So I was in a hotel in England, and I got an email one night from the Dominic, my M&A advisor, and he was like, "Oh, Carl wants to have a call with you tomorrow morning. It's serious and it's urgent." So we got on the call, and they were basically like, "Yeah, we found all these errors in the P&L, and this doesn't match the aging report that you gave us, and this is not what you told us." Then we had to quickly, it was super expensive to rebuild the books, so we almost lost that sale. They knocked a few $100,000 off and went ahead in the end.
Yeah.
But even right up to the last day, I was like, hating my fucking life, to say the least.
Yeah.
So stressful, but worth it.
Did you, so what was the purpose for them to buy it? Like what was their plan? Because, right, and kind of two things. It's like, what was the deal structure? And the reason I asked that is because, like, are you along for the ride on the next step, right? Is there like some portion of it? And then also, what was their plan and why are they willing to pay, 3X or whatever number for this? What's their plan with it?
Yeah, for sure. So the deal structure, I sold them 80% of the company for 2.6x EBITDA, kept 20% for myself. They gave me 38% cash up front and the rest in a payment plan over 2 years with 10% interest added per year. Nice. They made me stay in, so we closed on September 29th. They made me stay in until January 1st and just do pretty much a call with them every day to hold the hand and get them integrated. And the reason that they wanted to buy us was to turn us into a SaaS or add a SaaS element, grow the company and resell it. That's why they wanted to buy us. And one of the key drivers for them was our paid ads. So we'd never, ever, ever had a losing month on the paid ads in, three odd years.
Nice.
And when they saw that gave them a lot of peace of mind to see, every single month ever has been at least profitable. And the team, pretty much everyone we ever hired was still there on the last day, give or take a couple of sales reps. So I think they just saw how stable it was. They liked the model, they loved the profitability, and they thought that they could add to it and grow it and resell it, which is still the goal for them. So.
Yeah. So how's it going for them? Because that was what you said a year ago?
It was, it's about a year and a half ago now.
Okay. And then, so you hold 20%. So you're still getting your monthly updates and like are you guys doing distributions out of it? Is it like a in the future only, no cash flow?
It is an in the future only scenario. So I hear from them every 4, 5, 6 weeks with an update. I've got to meet with the partners every now and again to steer them in the right direction. Anything big that they do, they still run it by me when they make kind of like major pivots. And otherwise, they're just building for that future goal of their next exit, really. Yeah, so.
Yeah, cool. Have they made some aggressive changes?
You could say that. Yeah, this is something maybe we should talk about when this is not being recorded, because I'm pretty sure
it's fine. No, 100%. Yeah, I was joking. Like we'll talk on here and like not docs. We're like we don't have to say numbers. We don't have to say people. We don't have to say anything. Like no need.
Of course, dude. I've already name dropped half the people anyway, but they've definitely made some changes where I was like, that is really, really not a good idea. Within about 14 days of the acquisition, they lost probably one of the most important people in the company because they just didn't get along. Like the kind of guy that came in to lead, some people just didn't resonate with him, and rightly so. Even though the team knew that we were selling in advance, everybody knew that we were selling. They had to because they were interviewing all the team and interviewing all the customers and going through everything. But there was a couple of people that when they bought, they were like, yeah, we just don't want to be here anymore. This is not the vision that we signed up for, which is fair enough. I think that's always going to happen. But still going to this day, still building and growing, still profitable, still doing what they want to do. So, yeah. Yeah,
very cool. And then when you said they were buying, they're a big fan of the acquisition side of the business. Is that, for you guys, was that like an in-house, and I don't know where it's based out of or what the W-2 comparable is, but like for us, we've heard having, basically like an agency or contractors that run any piece of the business is like this inherent risk because they could just walk, with 14-day notice based on whatever 1099 agreement. Like, did you guys have the team in-house and that they were buying this acquisition team at some level? Did you have it outsourced? Like, how'd that work?
It's funny. I asked my lawyer, Poppy, this question. I said, like, what if I ever want to take some of those team members with me into the next thing? And she said, well, that's illegal. You can't poach them. You can't take them with you, but you can't stop them quitting. The PE firm can't stop them from quitting on their own back and coming to work for you. So she was like, it's a bit of a weird area, but you can't stop people from leaving,
No.
But I think this is why it's so important. If I was going to buy a business, man, I would really want to spend time with that team and be like, listen, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. Are you a part of this? Be honest, are you going to leave on me when I buy this fucking thing so I can start rebuilding another team? And they were smart enough to do that. They fucking interviewed people, some people, God knows how many times before they bought. So, they clearly knew what they were doing. But to answer your question more directly, dude, they were all contractors.
Interesting. Yeah, we pulled trigger so early. It was this past summer, and it was like the peak of peaks. Like we were doing like 2.7. We would do we do internal specials, are like the only like actual promos we do, and it'll be basically the second year for a discounted rate, and we'll crack like $2 million in like a week, and we'll just do like this whole thing into the next one. So I think our top month was 3.7 something. Like we're like on this high. We're like, all right, let's get in this direction. Everything's perfect. Momentum's there. But CPA was rising, and we're cognizant of that, but we're still filling calendars. We're just like trying to figure it out, but not hard enough or not well enough probably. And moved everybody, whole company, 1099 to W-2, that whole process, 37 states, X amount of countries that are still 1099, but on a different agreement. Like everyone did all these systems, and then it was like, boom. So you got everyone on salary now. So everyone's, sales reps, as an example, are making draws. So they have their 45K a year base. And then once they cross over that in commission, the commission just takes over. But you have half-filled calendars, and you have people who maybe don't perform, all mixed into one. And you all of a sudden there's a literal floor now of whatever it is. I think it's $1,600 or whatever for every pay period. And you've got 20, 30 of them that exist, and like you don't fill their calendar. Like it just gets crazy. And that all happened at once for us. And the main reason we did that was for like, obviously classification. We're very black and white. We never want to like cross that gray line or like, oh, let's operate like this just to like for the cash and then do this. Like you just want to sleep easy at night. But one of the things we've heard is W-2, W-2, W-2. And again, we're in the States, so I think a little bit different potentially, but interesting that yours were all contractors.
Yeah, it's so strange, man. Like everything that I seem to do just goes against what everyone's saying should be done, right down to what we're doing now. But there we go. But when you're talking about that stuff, in my head, I'm just thinking like, what's your goal? What's your goal? What do you want? Where are you going? And it sounds like, you're a better entrepreneur than me, dude. I've got so fucking lazy now. I don't want to do all this crazy shit and build a massive business. I want to just keep it as simple and profitable and fun as possible. So, but you're on a different mission. I think you're going for the exit, aren't you? And you know what's got to be done to get there.
Yeah, and the cash flow on the way up, right? I want to make sure that we build this in a way, but complete understanding that which is crazy to even say, but at the 20 something million or whatever number, it's like it's break even, call it, with the paid ads and that it's crazy. And that's like, you hear about Ovens when he was doing 30 million with like $1 million in profit and like these crazy numbers. And then you hear Iman who's done, 70 million with 70% margin because organic and lean and 1099 and that whole game. And it's like, yeah, we're definitely unconventional and maybe stupid, and I will accept that fully with how we're like building this thing. But yeah, we have to build it for the bigger thing, or it's too much work, it's too many headaches for what it produces, and that's been the case more or less for the last 6 months, like getting it back on track. But with the understanding that when this thing peaks out the other side, it's like it drops a ton to the bottom line. It is clean, it has this big brand, it has more back end now availabilities. We haven't even touched the other like opportunities or monetization methods, the partnerships, the physical products, all that. Yeah,
well, dude, don't forget to leave some meat on the bone for an acquirer, because that would make a great story. Dude, you could go to someone right now and say, listen, we're doing this, blah blah blah. There's all this other shit to be done. Even if you only sold, I don't know, 30%, 50%, something like that. I don't know what the plan is, but yeah, leave some of that stuff on the bone for the acquirer.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we're swinging for the fences, and we'll see, right? Because like right now, there's so many versions of that. It's like, is it just the geo, right? Like we only sell North America right now, and for example, because there's one-on-one coaching, so there's like a lot of communication, calls. It's not just a course or like group coaching, so it's all North America because coaches fulfillment's all North America. So it's like there's that whole model. We have not done anything low ticket. You know, the people in our space call it like a V shred, for example, or, you know, some others that, you know, they're huge. They're a couple 100 million last I heard in top line, you know, 1,000 new customers a day. I've heard thousands of customers a day have low ticket. Like they have a machine, direct response guys, and they just crush it. There's another company in the space that actually just closed down. They like kind of sold, that we initially modeled ours off of, but they were, you know, Inc. top 10. They were a couple 100 million a year, tons of supplements. Once they got up to scale, it was info coaching, but then supplements. And they got, you know, basically based on their messages or their posts about this, got at some level like burned out. It was this next iteration and level. They made their tens of millions, you know, from cash flow, and they were just looking to get out, sell, you know, digital assets. And Facebook was rising, costs were rising, physical product business now, like this whole game. So yeah, but like there's just not a lot of comps to use that are direct, other than like these fitness apps that have hundreds of thousands of users, which like that's not our game, right? It's not this low ticket recurring game that a lot of these guys have, which is like, yeah. So it's just difficult for us to kind of navigate. Is it a 3X? Is it some like 10X thing? Because now we're in this game of, you know, revenue retention that's insane, and we're in the thresholds of, you know, mid 8-figure, or I guess low 8-figure EBITDA. Like, I don't know. So we'll see.
Crazy, man. Yeah, I think as you were saying that, I was thinking like, what are the differences between the businesses that you can sell, that you can't sell, that are easier? I think this is an obvious one, but I think it's just paid ads. You know, so if you've got that stability and control of profitable paid ads, and you've got a good track record, I think it's a lot easier. If you've got just organic like we do now, like I'd be hard-faced to sell this company, I think.
Yeah.
I'd like to try in the future, but this is a whole different ballgame. I love what you said about bringing in, you said different faces, right, to the business.
I think I lost you for a second. You're back.
Oh, I was just saying to you there, dude, you said you were bringing in different faces to the business, right?
Yeah. So we're gonna have different faces. So the acquisition side, because for the longest time we're an acquisition company, and now we see it in a lot of different ways. I guess now it's been a very strong learning curve these last probably 6 months, but we view the front now much more direct response, and we are building it in that way. So it's like, how do we do this that is the most efficient way possible to generate customers that all through paid. So it is currently the 3 funnel types. And I want to get into your stuff and like how you're currently running this new model, because I think it's super interesting, and I looked into it and deep researched you and all the things. But the current model for acquisition is basically one brand face. That's the co-founder, absolute badass, like lifeblood of the company, like, you know, the visual representation of the company. Yeah. We have a VSL funnel, technically 2 opt-in funnels. We have a direct to VSL funnel, which a lot of these guys run now. I call it DTA, direct to app, headline VSL application. And then we have a low ticket ascension funnel, which the economics are crazy good on. So you're, you know, small, call it sub $50 thing. And then instead of optimizing for AOV and having the upsell track and all that kind of stuff, instead it's optimized for calls. So it pushes them to book a starter implementation call. They talk to a setter for 15 minutes, and then they set with the closer. It has the highest show rates, the highest close rates, and now it's a percent game. So can you get 5% of the 100 people that buy a day to ascend in a low ticket? What's the time from lead or buyer more so to back-end buyer, and try and shrink that window? So like we were trying to play that game, but you introduce all 3 of those, and our CPA is like, because they're in this one and they hit this, and like just the ecosystem is getting more advanced. And then, yeah, to answer directly for your question, we have that right now, and we have 3 brand faces, all in the ads, going to brand face 1's videos for the VSL and like all this, and it works. It crushes. So we don't even have the continuity yet, or the congruency across of having brand face 2 with the VSL that's brand face 2 in their story going to this. And that's what we just shot. That's what we have, you know, 5 funnels in the pipeline right now being built, because we're going to have on the front end to diversify.
Love it, dude. It reminds me of what Dave Ramsey's done with like the Ramsey personalities. You know, I think it's so fucking smart. He's basically like taken him, got other people just to redo what he does, remake the content that he makes. It's like mini Dave Ramsey's, all driving traffic back to the main thing. I just think that's fascinating.
Yeah, I think it just, you know, it's Hormozy, right? Is like who we consume around this that speaks on this majority in info coaching. You have Cody Sanchez, you have, what's the other guy's name? I'm blanking, but like the buy, biz, sell, her whole thing about buying boring businesses. But like they do all talk about online business exits, and like they're the first ones to kind of own that conversation. And all of them talk about acquisition issues, but and sources too, which I didn't really talk about. Is like we're very, very heavy on Meta, and very little. Like we haven't full cracked Google. We spend, mid single or whatever, mid four figures a day there, but we don't at all, versus like we're spending 30 grand a day, and a majority of it's on Meta, and then the rest is sitting over here on Google. And it's, all your branded stuff, all your retargeting, sure, but like we haven't cracked cold. And like that's a vulnerability, or like a risk point, is having so much in one bucket, right? It's like, so we're just trying to figure out all the layers of that all at the same time, and it's kind of it's a little chunky.
But is it a risk or is it an opportunity?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
So
That's the thing.
because this is, I mean, it's so funny. Like Highview that bought us, they just came in with their ideas. There was not, I didn't make any suggestions to them. But if there's one thing that I've learned especially from my mentor Dan, it's like it's all in the story. And even the PE firm that I'm working with now to do the info roll up, one of the first things that the founder said, we've got to craft a good story and give them the reason why they should buy it to do this other stuff afterwards. And it sounds like you've got loads of that to give to people. Or you can add supplements on, you can do this, you can crack this channel. So it sounds like there's a lot of juice left to squeeze.
Yeah.
And like, do you want to squeeze it and then sell, or do you want to sell sooner but for maybe a bit less, but I don't know, give them more opportunity so there's a stronger story?
Yeah, no, we definitely want to hammer it, I think, leading up to, just because the TAM is so big, the monetization models are so big. It's like we can probably eat half of them and still leave the rest like on the bone, which I think would be cool. But so, let's talk about you. So now that you've done this lifestyle, so this is the Dubai, this is the Dubai gone Bali vibe, right? So are you in both? Is it now this lifestyle? Like, where are you at with life?
Where am I at? Well, I think, dude, I'm just doing the complete opposite of what I did in the last company. So we used to have a massive team, and now I've got a tiny team. We used to have a tiny profit margin, and now we've got a pretty fucking high profit margin. It used to be all paid ads and very little organic, and now it's all organic and very little paid ads. So it's just like the complete opposite of the old business. I just learned my lessons. I learned what I want and what I like, and I was pretty burned out. I was burned out by the end of the company, and I was especially burned out after the acquisition. So again, my plan was have no team, run no ads, start a YouTube channel, get a few consulting clients, make 30, 40, 50K a month profit, and just chill a bit more, enjoy my life a little bit more, invest the money that I'd kind of built up. And then when the YouTube channel blew up, dude, like it happened so fucking fast. I had this one video which was called something like how to make 10K a month ASAP or something. And good God, I've never seen so many sales calls get booked so fast. And I quickly had to hire 2 reps to help me with the volume. Before that happened, right, I was taking the sales calls myself, and I had my calendar set to like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., like 10 days out. And I was getting no calls. I was booking 1 or 2 or 3 calls a week, from the YouTube. And then when that video blew up, man, fucking hell, like, it was wild. And then I just capitalized on it, basically. And the business grew really fast. And we only had one offer back then. I was just charging £5,000 a month for 1 call a week, basically. And I had a few people in that. And then when the YouTube channel blew up, we got loads of people on calls that either couldn't afford that or weren't right for it. So we made a group program to go alongside it. Then we got someone on a call one day that said, listen, could you please do it for me? And I don't care what the price is. So then we made a done for you program to satisfy that guy, which is our best selling program now. And it just kind of slowly grew up to where we are today. So now we're doing about, depending on the month, about 450 to 600 cash, team of 7. The margin last month was 83.1%. So it's just like a profitable, fun little machine now.
That's fun. That's fun. How are you doing so much done for you with such a light team?
Dude, it's really simple. So like, if you came in today, this is what would happen. If you came in today, I would say, right, go through the training program first. Take 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Go right through the program. That's going to put my brain in your head, and then book in your first call with me. And here's my calendar, right? So people go into the program. 5, 6, 7, 8 days later, they book a call. I get on a one-to-one with them, and we call it a blueprint call. I just help them design their offer, the price, the funnel, just everything. And then they go to my copywriter, and I'm like, right, book in with Waleed and get on with your ads and VSL or whatever it is. Waleed disappears for 7 to 10 to 14 days, comes back with a VSL, a set of ads, the copy that they need. Then I show them how to produce everything, so it's back to me. They produce, let's say, the VSL and the ads. We've got a Go High Level white label. So they sign up to the white label, which has already got the funnel and emails and everything in there.
Yep.
We connect it all up for them. They get on a call with my media buyer who will set everything up, the tracking, get everything turned on. And that's it. So it's just me, my copywriter, and my media buyer. It's super simple.
That's amazing. That's literally amazing.
Yeah, it's easy.
And then, yeah, you keep your 30, 40% of that would go to ads because it's all organic now, right?
It's all organic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then just like a lean sales team because is there anything direct to cart?
Well, we've got our book funnel, right, which is where we spend some money on ads. We're spending about 12K a month on ads right now, so not a lot. And that's the only ad spend we run. So they can buy the book and then they're pushed to a VSL to book a call. But if for every 100 calls that we book, 70 will come from YouTube, 20 will come from Instagram, 10 will come from LinkedIn / the book funnel, basically. So it's like heavily weighted to YouTube.
Yeah. How's the book funnel going?
Well, the
or
book
like,
funnel's
math on it or just feedback or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. So it's very profitable. So we're about 4x, 5.5x territory, but the sales cycle is long as fuck. So the front end is about 0.32 right now. So we'll spend 1,000, lose 700 and odd. And we only do 2-3 sales a month. But because our prices are so high, that 2-3 sales immediately puts us in 4x, 5x, 6x cash territory. So it's very profitable, but not fast and not particularly great. We're about to start spending a bit more. I'm just making a new batch of ads and we're going to push on the gas a bit. We've just finally got a setter now to start. This is so stupid. I know how stupid this is, but we didn't even have anyone dialing the fucking leads for months because we were just so profitable that we didn't fucking care.
Yeah.
But now we're starting to take things a bit more seriously.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. The book funnels, the consumption around that is just so, I talk about that a lot on here, like the difference in those funnel types, the frictions, like, as a function of consumption, right? You have a DTA funnel where it's like someone can apply in 2 seconds, your show rates are like this, the close rates like this, because they don't have as much context versus an opt-in person that is forced to watch VSL or consume emails, resources before they get to the application and like just trying to do that. But the book funnel is a very interesting one to me because the physical book on a shelf, it sits on someone's coffee table, they read it and they actually consume that thing and they spend however many hours, reading in your voice and in your story and your, really like selling themselves and consuming. So for us, and maybe this will for you guys, but if you lose, like, let me do some math here, but if you're losing, I don't want to give, our exact numbers. That's the one thing I don't talk about. I don't talk about our exact cost structure necessarily. I talk about like every number in the world. I'm just not on like daily spend or kind of, 30 right now. It was 18 X amount of days ago. Like it all changes. But like if you're losing $50 a unit and that ascension rate is like 5. So between your setter, between your, CTAs in the book, between if you give them a master, like there's this whole game around that, that's $1,000 CPA on the back, right? If 5% ascend. And then it's what time frame does that take? So that's the game we're playing a little bit with this is like, how do you crack cold where you can sell 100 of those books a day and go in the hole, pretty extensively for sure. But the time to lead. And for us, what I heard, we right now will just do that. Like I said, book a call with a setter and then book a call with a closer. So the time frame is really like the average of close is like 5 days, which is amazing. Instead of having this huge drawn out one. And that's, again, the average of the closes, not the average if you include everyone and like blend it out or thus far. but we then drop them into, because it's a low ticket course, so you have like all the content they're consuming, you're constantly pushing them back into the education, the community aspect as well. And then we have very light on the setters, honestly, too. Like we leave some on the table there, but there's CTAs all in there. And then there's emails that all go back to there. That's pushing them to either book that call or apply direct with the closer, which is like, the two different ones. But yeah, you get that thing up to 5% and you're in like honeypot territory of, yeah.
That's the goal, mate. Yeah, we're really going all in on the book funnel now and kind of taking things a bit more serious. So I've had my fun for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Now I want to get my hands dirty again,
Oh yeah? Okay. Yeah, no, dude, those numbers are amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, they fucking are.
Yeah, they fucking are. Yeah, 83% margin, like, anything over like 50 to me is just like so like I just haven't really seen it at scale with paid ads unless it's, years of cooked and back end and all that where you have 95%, gross margin because however the fulfillment model is, you don't have the ads, you don't have the spend, all of the stuff on the back to where it can offset it. But if you're scaling into front end heavily, it's like you're constantly playing this game of it's like driving down over here for this future number. And that's that whole game of like, operating to sell or operating for future everything just in life. It's like if you're doing stuff now for this future thing instead of like for today, you're just constantly paying that price in dollars and time and whatever.
Yeah, dude, exactly. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's like whatever you focus on, the other things will be rocky, but you'll get what you want from focus. So there was a time in the last business where honestly, we were just like, how much revenue can we do? And that to me now is really fucking stupid. And I can't believe I thought that way. But I remember saying to my sales team manager, how big can we grow? And we'll sacrifice profit to see. And we did, and we grew massive rev and smashed the profit margin, And then in this business now, the focus is, let's keep, like, dude, my number one focus is just the profit margin. Every goddamn month, I'm thinking, what can we do? What can we change to keep the profit margin as high as possible? So I've got what I want, a lot of profit, but at the cost of revenue, at the cost of scale, at the cost of reaching more people, having a bigger business.
Yeah.
So you get what you want, but you'll lose the other things that when you take your eye off the ball, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the other thing I hear, and this is where I'm interested to see, like what's your lifestyle like right now? Because the other thing a lot of people are willing to sacrifice in terms of lifestyle for margins like that. But it doesn't seem like you have that issue as much.
Yeah, well, so I still do one-to-one consulting, right? And it's very unscalable. So we've got the three main programs. The group program, which is easy because it's 2 hours a week for one call. The one-to-one program, where people get anytime one-to-one and a WhatsApp chat with me. And the done-for-you program. And the most intense for me is the one-to-one. So we've worked out that people book about 3 calls with me a month for 45 minutes per person. And I usually do 3 full call days per week, which will be like 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. with a gap in the afternoon. So it's just like call. Thankfully, I really enjoy it, Yeah. And if the day comes where I don't enjoy it, I'll just turn it off and maybe keep the group and keep the done for you or something like that. So for now, I really, really enjoy it. Just like this. It's just like chatting to people and helping them. It's easy. It's so easy and fun. And the lifestyle is pretty empty. It's nice. I just usually do the 3 call days, 4 days off, and I just make YouTube videos, read, chat to the team, go play tennis, go to the gym, and just kind of chill. And it's like what I wanted, really, is what I've got right now.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to get bored. I'm starting to think like, I want to scale again. I want to grow this thing bigger, which is why we're focusing on the book funnel now. So yeah, it's just seasons. I had my season of fucking stress. Now I've had my season of peace. Now I'm up for a bit more stress again. So we'll
back
see.
to the chaos a little bit.
Back to the chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are like full in Bali, or you're gonna bounce? What's the plan there? Did you say?
Yeah. Well, one of my dreams was to have like a global infrastructure. I wanted to have like a forever home in Bali, a forever home in Dubai, forever home in England, so I could see my parents. And I've got the one in Bali. I'm about to buy the one in Dubai. And the plan is really 6 months. So 6 months Bali, 6 months Dubai. And I was thinking, 6 months of peace and chilling, and then 6 months of Dubai stress in the desert. So we'll see. That's the plan.
Yeah, cool. And Yeah, that's so fun. We super random tangent, but the I went to Chengdu and was there for I went for like a developer course, which is hilarious now looking back, but like that had to have been almost 10 years or 8 years ago. And went out there, stayed right on like, Echo Beach, right on that line,
Yeah.
and did a developer course there for 2 months. I had never been, went alone, and stayed in some like hostel thing because I had zero money, and basically like just went to this class and did that. And then fast forward X amount of years later, I started working with this company, and I'm technically like co-owner, not co-founder. So I was like number 4 or 5 on the team, and then became co-owner through this process of scaling it and growing. And I worked with them for probably 3 or 4 months, and they were living out there for 3 or 4 months, and they were like, "Yeah, come on out." And I literally got on a plane, and the first time I met the team and the other owners and partners of this business was meeting them in person and staying in a villa there with them for like a month and some change. And that was right before COVID hit. Like I flew out of there because world was in mania mode and no one knew it was going to happen. And I left after that. So I was there for like a month in a villa probably down the street with those guys and just building in person.
Dude, Bali is the best, man. Bali just got like a
It's so
fun,
cool.
chilled vibe. Dubai for me was too heavy. Like, Dubai was just too heavy, too tense. I would like not leave the apartment or not leave like, the building area with a cafe downstairs and shit. And it was just too heavy, too tense. I needed to snap out, and Bali's just been great for that. But it's a matter of time until I want that energy back. And I'm back over there going hard again. But for now, I'm good.
Yeah. So like network wise, I mean, you have to have insane access to network. I feel like you're one of the ones on a handful, right? That I think about in this game and space, everything you're doing with organic and like, you come out as a leader, one of the thought people of this area that I think really stand out. So like, do you have access to all the network and talent? Like when you go and travel places, are you one of those guys who likes to like set up the dinners and do all the stuff and meet everyone? Or are you more of like the chill, move in silence? I don't know.
A bit of both. A bit of both, to be honest. I mean, I've been lucky because I met so many people in Becca's Mastermind. I met so many people in Sam's
Which one?
Mastermind.
Which one did he have?
He had a mastermind called
Becker.
Iron.
Yeah, I was in that.
Oh, you were in that as well?
Yeah, so I bought. That's how we learned how to do the YouTube ads, and that's the initial VSL template that we used. That we did probably 15, 20 million through. Was that I think the short form one he had on there, and then he had the long form, short form, direct to call one.
Yeah, dude, that fucking Iron changed my life, man. It's made me so much goddamn money. But yeah, I met so many people through that. I met so many people through Sam Ovens Mastermind, so many people through Cole Gordon's Mastermind. And when I was in Dubai, I think people must have seen my YouTube, and then when they come to Dubai, they would just message me all the bloody time. I was doing dinners all the fucking time with people as they came through. So
I lost you for a second, but yes, they're coming to Dubai, and you can see. Yeah, there you go, back. Yeah, no, that's hilarious. You say that though.
bloody Bali internet, man. I need to sort this fucking internet out. They promised me that it would be good speed, but never mind. But
Never mind that. But that's crazy you say that about Iron. That's those are OG days. That thing was what, 5-10 grand like sub, and it was a one-time thing, and it was hitters in there.
yeah, dude,
That was
I think I paid $6,000. It was like 6 or 7K, like disgustingly cheap. But yeah, being in Dubai really, really helped with network, because I'd go to a party with a friend, meet, 2-3 other people that I know there, go for dinner with one of them, and then meet 4 other people, go to this person's apartment, and there's other people at that apartment, and all of a sudden, all the big guys, you end up with them at a party or a dinner or a mastermind or something like that. So Dubai was amazing for the network, and it got me a lot of clients as well. Like being in Dubai and the YouTube got me some really high level clients that I don't think I would have had if I wasn't in Dubai in person,
Yeah, I did the Puerto Rico thing for the last X amount of years, which is like the US version of that, where the tax zone of that, right? So super isolating for me. I'm not somebody who leaves the desk very often. So exactly what you're saying, go downstairs to the grocery or the gym that's in the base of the building, and that's it, back to the desk. And I think there's a much bigger opportunity, very similar pocket of people, right, from US, but I just didn't really do it, and I ended up leaving because I was like, I just don't have friends and stuff down here, and I want to kind of try and continue on life and not just focus on the money in that way, at that level, because you're really only there for that. Like a lot of people, beautiful weather, beautiful whatever, but you can get that in a lot of other places. But that's interesting you say that. So for meeting people out there, for meeting people you work with or that have become clients in some capacity, what do you view as like, where's the line on how far you want to take the business model and like these clients? So, and where I'm going with this, and the example is, I talked to Iman, right? I bought Iman's course thing for their mastermind. It's like 20 G's or whatever it was. Really what it was is kicking the ass to just make videos. And now every day I've just made videos and it's worked. We hit the goal that he and I talked about. But in the beginning, it was that exact same model. It was like, build this thing up, build your core company, basically build a network, monetize it through a couple one-on-ones if you want to, where you can make a couple $1,000,000 a year having one-on-one clients.
Yeah.
But he gave this example of this guy he knew that makes tens of millions a year in basically cash from these things, where he does coaching style, but the monetization model is percentage and ownership. So instead of, paying you 25 grand or 50 grand for your done for you or your coaching situation, you get ownership in them and you coach through either one-to-one or group coaching. But your payment model is that. So what do you think about that? What do you think about changing the monetization model to where you have, I don't know exactly who that is, but for you.
Yeah. It's funny, man. Like number one, a couple of people that you've interviewed have been my clients in the past.
Oh, really?
To see those guys on here as well. And someone said, I can't remember who said this, but someone that you interviewed said, would you rather do like 2.5 mil a month with a 20% margin, or like 800K a month with like an 80% margin? And he was like, I'd rather have the 2.5 mil, right? A 20% margin. I was like, fuck that shit. I'd rather have 600 a month with a fucking 90% margin, And I've heard Iman say that in the past.
For sure.
For sure. For me, like, I want to keep it not as small as possible. I want it to be as big as it can be, but I wouldn't scale and sacrifice profit, whereas I did do that in my last company, and I wouldn't do that again. But with a caveat though, I don't want to exit this business though. If I did want to exit this business, whole different story. I'd be bringing in licensed coaches, bringing in CSMs, stopping the one-to-one, running paid ads, So the fact that I don't want to sell, and the fact that I just focus on profit, it's a great model. As long as you're willing to do the one-to-one coaching, which I am, this is a fucking great model because you can charge way more. And we charge high ticket recurring as well, which we can talk about. But with that said, if the day comes that I stop enjoying the one-to-one, I would either go group or I would go the Hormozi model and come in and take equity and just get 3 or 4 or 5 massive clients and go all in. And I'll probably do that next when that day comes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree with you. Like, with what we're building, if I was to build another one, it would be this huge back-end model. It would be all that kind of stuff. But it would really also be what you're saying, like these really high margin and kind of more lean and focused, just because I've seen how this one plays out and how much, how many headaches there can be and the people things and all the things. But I do wonder if you, even in current state, could do something that you kept the fulfillment model, but you just changed the monetization model. So instead of having just this like high ticket recurring, which is obviously amazing and is directly contributes to what you just said is your goal. But the other side of it is if you can get that percent. It was just so interesting to me to hear that someone was making multiple 8 figures a year in basically distributions because, and the fulfillment model is the same as yours. It's, to my understanding, it was actually a couple group coaching calls, and then the people who'd show up are the founders or partners, and they would be in group setting, which is even crazier than one-to-one. But like, imagine that, right? You have 6 group coach calls or whatever, 5 a week. It's 1 a day. People just pop on, and the founders or the partners just ask questions. You own 10 or 40 or whatever % of the company. You deploy some of your light team, but same lifestyle and fulfillment model, but because you get percentage or upside and who knows, right, if anything ever sells in that world, or who knows if that's, but just an interesting idea.
Yeah, I appreciate you planting that in my head because you're completely right. I think, can it be done? Well, clearly, yes. To what degree acquisition will be interesting, but I'm definitely open. I mean, dude, right now I'm just in fuck around and find out mode.
Yeah.
Basically. So I'll probably try that. I'll probably try that. But for now, it's pretty well balanced. Dude, something that really actually doubled our business, right? One of my closers said to me last December, because basically it was just pay monthly. And one of my closers said, Will, what do you think would happen if we let people buy multiple months on day one and we gave them like 3 months? So like buy 2, get 1 free, or buy 3, get 2 free, that kind of thing. And we tried it and doubled the business, like pretty much doubled the business overnight. It was fucking amazing. That was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, we just went to Onyx and Gall's event, and he's very obvious. He's the transparent guy around this stuff. He's like, just know, we will, sell you on this. We are going to attempt to sell you on the mastermind on the back end of this. And for him, he was like, a lot of these guys, and two, for example, you join and it's, I forget his numbers right now, so this is, not doxing or anything because I actually don't remember. It's $5,000, it's $20,000, it's whatever number is basically like your startup. And then starting month 2 or 3, it becomes the monthly thing, and then they live within there. I know that's the same thing that Ezra Firestone, when we initially joined that for his Blue Ribbon Mastermind, it's whatever chunk up front, and then this like mid to high ticket, call it anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 or 4,000 a month, that just sits there then on the books, and then you have your fulfillment. It's your group coaching, you get access to all the courses, and then once or twice a year events. Was a lot of those guys model it like that.
Yeah, you know who Taylor Welch is, right?
Did I lose you?
Yeah. I really
I know Taylor.
I really liked his model of I think it was something like 35 to get in and 2 a month to stay in. I thought that was a really good model, man. It's not quite right for what we do, but I think that was a great model because you don't want to leave, when you've paid that down, so it's so sticky,
So sticky. So yeah, I mean, I almost said his name earlier because I've built some tech stack with stuff with him, and back when I was just doing a lot of marketing tech, and he's a very interesting dude. But he has a similar-ish story of he's got his LOIs he posted at one point of where everything was worth like 90 million, and trying to do that with the traffic and funnel sides, and then exact same thing. He was like, I want to optimize for. I love this model. I love this industry, these people, this whole thing, but I want to optimize it for for margin, for cash flow, and do it through organic and do it through multiple of these. And he crushes.
Yeah, it's so funny, man, because again, I think I've heard Iman say this, and I really love him, man. I love his take on this stuff. But we do all this shit to make money, to make net income, to build wealth and get freedom. And we do so much stupid shit that erodes the net profit and we have big, complex, annoying businesses. And I think everyone the day always comes where people look at what they're doing and be like, what am I doing, man? There's a simpler, better fucking way.
Yeah, no, 100% is. There we go. We got the coffee. We're on brand now.
Hey,
I watched like 5 of your videos last night just to make sure that I was on pace. All right. So what's your like favorite niche or clients? You don't have to, dox names or anything, but because I'm sure you have multiple niches, or explain that. So like all your clients are mainly doing the same business model or like how they do acquisition or whatever, but is it all different niches? Is it?
Oh God, dude, the niches are so varied. We've worked in Bible studies, fitness, golf, e-com, basketball, communication, hiring, systems building, dating, bloody loads, man. Loads of niches. It's that's one thing that keeps it fun. Is it's the same model, right? Typically, just get traffic, put it in a sales process, convert it, provide value, charge high prices so you're nice and profitable, essentially. It's always the same thing. But the niches and the people really keep it interesting. So loads of niches, man. Loads of different niches.
Yeah, interesting. And then so the education or the coaching piece is all is it specific to the business model you're running right now? So it's how to build what you're currently doing, basically? Essentially,
yeah. I mean, the company is called buildgrowandexit.com. And that's exactly what we do. We either help people to build these businesses or grow these businesses or exit these businesses. So it's a pretty fucking appropriate name, for what we do. It's
Yeah.
it's mostly people. Surprisingly, it's mostly people that want to build. I would say it's 60% people building for the first time. Maybe, the rest is pretty much grow. And 4 people have bought the exit program. It's very fucking expensive, and there's not many people that are right for it. But yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah. That would even be interesting if just your exit model one monetization was, instead of 50 grand or 100 grand, whatever number it was percentage. That could be interesting. If you have, the XYZ confidence in the business, or the XYZ confidence in your team and what they can do to the business, like being able to get a chunk of that exit.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
That's probably what I'll do next. I think when the day comes, I'll probably just actually go in, take equity with a view to exiting, and work with way less people. It's a whole different ballgame, because then you're getting married to someone for 1, 2, 3 bloody years. So it's such a different play, and honestly,
Yeah.
I'm like, is it worth 2 to 3 years of my life to make X when I can do 300, 400, 500 a month now, when it's not that hard, So I always come back to this.
Yeah.
It's just, I think I've got golden handcuffs right now. It's just so good.
Yeah.
But maybe
Yeah.
it's stopping me going
Yeah.
bigger, which is something that's on my mind right now, to be honest.
Yeah, well, it's the trade-off, right? Like you said, I mean, you want a little chaos. Like you openly say you want you want to enter your stressful era again, because it's stress. It's just a different lifestyle.
Yeah, it is. It is fun though when you're getting your hands dirty and there's all the stuff going on, and it is very fun. I just love these businesses, man. They're like really fun puzzles to figure out, and when you figure them out, you make loads of money. It's like the best game in the world.
Yeah, 100%. What do you view as the most difficult part, or like the most stressful part of that scale, right? Like if you were saying right now, you want a 3x, like what do you see the hierarchy of bottlenecks that occur for you, or become the most stressful or painful?
Team and paid ads. It's just literally the 2 things in that last business that led me to hate the business by the end of it, was just the team. And we weren't spending that much. We were spending at our height $6K a day on ads, but even that to me was quite stressful, because the more we spent, the less profitable we were, the more headaches, the more you're desperate for your sales team to fucking perform, and the more desperate you are, the harder it is. Again, I'm giving myself fucking PTSD even thinking back to this, but
Yeah. All you're doing is talk about my everyday right now. So yeah.
yeah, I would say the team, because I love writing ads, I love writing VSLs, I love building funnels, I love doing the coaching, I absolutely love the content. Like making videos is probably my number one favorite thing in the world. I just love it. So it's just the team, I think. Having a big team and hiring and firing and managing and ramping, and that is the thing that I don't like, I would say.
Yeah. People ask me questions in like this request box thing, and I'll make videos about them. And I obviously need some help on that, because I have to come up with something every day. But one of the big questions that is around that. It's how to find talent. It's managing people. It's whatever, which isn't really an issue until you get to whatever size, call it double digits on team. But I made this video that was like this whole walkthrough of like how we find talent for certain things, and like where we put them, and like the communication channels and the pods and all this. And the very first line item was just like, life hack: skip all of this and just hire like a chief of people. And ours was like an organic thing that occurred for us, but we had a coach that then became basically the director of coaches, that then became like director of people, just super high EQ, complete culture fit, a leader in her own right, like all the things you can imagine. And she is like that everything for us in that role. So she's like a ride or die, been here for years now. And yeah, that was a huge life hack for us. Not necessarily on like the management side and structure and ops and whatever. That's more me and in my realm of the project list and the KPI boards and the meeting structure and all that. But for finding them, for the hard conversations, for comp stuff, for like anything in that world, and then also just the cultural like glue of it, she crushes for us. And it's a very hard thing to just say, oh, go hire one, go hire a chief of people, because it's not your HR admin. It's not your normal HR director. It's not your whatever. Like there's a lot of things to it, but that was such a life hack for us. Such a life hack.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is I need to, if I decide to grow this company, I just need to get better at it, you know, and I need to learn how to kind of put it together properly and get a chief of staff and put kind of proper things in place. I'm a bit embarrassed to admit this, dude, but like up until a few months ago, we didn't even track anything and we didn't do team meetings either. We've done about 3 meetings in, honestly, I swear to God, 11 months, 12 months, 13 months. And I was just like feeding the team calls and just being like, do your best to close them, you know. And because they were warm, because they were organic and high trust, they closed them very well, obviously. And they were talented reps as well, because I was lucky to have really good reps to hire. But this has been a bit of a period of like, are we going to sort our shit out now or not? And it's like, yes, we should, if we want to grow, you know.
Yeah, well, you'd rather be sorting it out when you're doing 80% margin, right, than when you're doing 20 and then try to do it, right, and try to add stacks. So that's amazing, though. I mean, I think your business model is so cool. I think it's probably a good fit for most people that come with experience. Is kind of like the caveat there. Not these guys that are just trying to start from nothing, who are selling coaches to coaching to coaches who coach, like that whole game, or like. But if you are someone who has tenure in this space, or you have tenure in other spaces, I always talk about how that's such a life hack. If you're an expert in whatever niche that's outside of internet marketing, and can layer in all the internet marketing principles and structure, both on fulfillment, acquisition, but just like the consulting model, true, you can crush. Like ours is in fitness, right? Not in internet marketing world, but like there's 92 of them. Like I know the one that does like landscape and snow and does a version of this and crushes. I know somebody who does it in like, what's the knitting? Like there are ones that crush and just use the principles.
Dude, 100%, man. And in fact, I want to ask you another question. So when you exit, because I've got no fucking doubt that you're going to exit, but when you exit, what are you going to do next?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh man. I don't know, man. I have a million and one itches that I try, and for a long time it got in my way, right? So it was like I've bought every course, I've paid every guru, I've looked at every business model, I have a pulse on like everything, right? And like by doing that, I am not the best at anything. And I have never rescaled the agency, but I bought all the how to build agency courses. I've done all the dropship or ecom, whatever courses, and, messed around, done $100,000 in a month and turned it off the next month because, back to the main thing. But I have now allowed myself, I just call it interest mapping. I allow myself to do it to where I can like scratch the itch and I can go play in this game, knowing that as long as the skill set overlaps with the current main co, I allow myself to do it as like a fun side quest. So example of this, I moved back here, was like, oh, I'm gonna have this taxation, problem more or less now because I didn't have it. Now I do, because I just moved out of PR. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna look into real estate and start doing all this. And I start getting into these like pockets and like, oh, it's interesting to me. And I'm like, the overlap is just not there enough in current state to justify that for me, right? Like there's other models, there's other ways to do it to achieve the result, if it's taxation, call it, versus me spending, I know me. And I'm going to crack out and go complete in depth into something. And like, I shouldn't be spending the time on that necessarily because they're just, the skill doesn't overlap. So all to say, yes, this exits what's the next model? What's the next scale of things? Yeah. I see this as multiple years from now, but I see on the way up, the time commitment coming down a bit as we get like the machine in place to make it so it could sell. So the team's in place and it's fulfilled on, and like, it doesn't require 80 hours a week of us or whatever. So dream state is getting it to a place where it's 10, 20, maybe 10 of actual meetings. And then the rest is just thinking about it, higher level stuff. We have the network from this and from, the business being big enough that we can hire entrepreneur style talent for like full new divisions. If we want to have some big, supplements, let's call it, for example. But yeah, if we get this thing up to those numbers and do exit this, I'm not sure. I don't have a ton of hobbies. I don't have a ton of external stuff. I work too much and not as effective as I could. I'll sit at this desk for 16 hours and could probably do the work in 8. And like, I just haven't mastered, like you said earlier, the skill set of being able to do that. I've never built a personal team, no EAs, no nothing. So like, I just kind of stack it all on top of each other. I've got the personal YouTube and X stuff. I've got this business. I've got other things. I have, a personal life that's this big right now because of that. And it's just a skill I haven't mastered. So I don't really know what to say the next is, other than just bigger and bigger plays, because like my identity is this right now. And maybe that completely sheds and I have to refine that out. But right now it's all work all the time.
Dude, I hear that. I was the same. I am the
Yeah.
same. Do you want to be a billionaire?
Yeah. Arbitrarily, we were talking about this last week, actually. I was like, arbitrarily, like, yeah, I don't view it necessarily. I mean, yes, it's a scoreboard, and I am this big, again, compared to even my friends, compared to the space. And I feel so weird when I'm like, oh, like, you kind of have to do it at some level. It's like, we did 75 million, like, total cash collected ever. We did 30 last year. Okay, cool. You're in this bracket of businesses, but like, I don't know. We all know and have the friends that do much larger numbers, and I like to try and be like, ego and humble around that, and much higher profit margins too. Those are vanity metrics that, the top is cash collected or revenue, technically, right? But like, so it's a scoreboard for me, but the big thing is the progression. Like I just said, the skill set. Like I've identified now the layers of the skill set the ones that are right here that I know I can't do, the ones that are out here that I don't even know exist that I don't have, and then like, the ones I have and I've grown into. So it's progression. It's progression in physical fitness. It's progression in in my lifestyle. It's progression in bank account. It's progression of the business and what, I know how to call it make millions and operate or like, do this, but I don't know how to lead a team of people that make millions and operate in their thing, or, stuff like that. Thinking like that is kind of where I'm at. Because if I can do that, it's just the skill stacking. So if that gets to the place where the skills have stacked to the level that I can then be the person that is, worth $1 billion or does this, for sure. But knowing that it is me that I have to progress and work on to even get close to where that direction is. And then, the number's just arbitrary. It's like, where's the actual number of where you're living that? A couple 100 million you hear on whatever podcast and stuff. I don't know. I have no personal experience.
Yeah. Do you have like a number, like a number where if you got to it, you would feel good about stopping, kind of thing? I don't know whether I've described that very well.
In life, or of selling the business?
In terms of like wealth, like actual liquidity and investments, where you're kind of like your set for life number.
No.
Your fuck you number. No.
I mean, yeah, I only know what I've made my millions. I've spent like an idiot. I was, ripping life, let's just say, and, maybe not the most positive way for X amount of time, and learned my lessons there, and now have a different approach and like what I do with it and where I sit on it. And like, I hit it hard and did that in my own right. With that being said, I don't, I listen to the My First Million podcast. I listen to like different things in that scope. And those are the guys who kind of talk about that, right? The exits, they talk about what the true lifestyle or the freedom number is. To fully live like the most exorbitant lifestyle possible, I hear it's like low couple hundreds. To be like full blown, to be like jet money and like do all that kind of stuff is like hundreds, right? To live very, very nice lifestyle is, I think the Andrew Wilkinson book on, I love that book, by the way, and him, he has that similar model of the holding co. But he has an equation, I think, in there, but it's like high tens, basically, very high tens.
Cool.
In current state, which I'm like, okay, it's interesting.
Have you ever listened to that Hampton podcast?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I watch like every episode. I'm fascinated by like investment and wealth and kind of like infrastructure. It's probably the thing that I think the most about is like having a sick kind of bed of wealth. I love that podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I wish they did it in the style that was My First Million, because I love that podcast. And I feel like the style and how they do like the like blurbs in and then like do these little tangents and go off. Like I don't love the style of it, just like random thing. But I think the guests that are on there, I think Hampton's a really cool model too. It's the next layer of community. I think they're rolling out in person now, I heard.
So good, man. So good. Yeah, I love that. It's like it's a mastermind, isn't it? For high net worth individuals, really.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's sub 10K a year. My dad's in Vistage and has been, which is like the really massive version of that. It's like a global one. So I've been introduced to Vistage meetings and they basically have a speaker that comes, and then it's like half the day is a speaker, and then half the day is like your small group, and it's in person. So they have cohorts, and it's like every 6 weeks they do this cadence, and he's been in it for 20 something years, I think. He does landscape and snow removal, but it's, he built a big culture driven, people driven organization. And it's Hampton's that just on, online business, founders, startup, that whole game within X bracket. So I think they're cool systems. I've never been in anything like that though, other than, the online info people, masterminds.
Yeah, me too, mate. I've never been in that. I've only been to a couple of in-person masterminds. I'm always the virtual guy who doesn't want to travel, too lazy.
Yeah, same. Do you have any goals of that being because right now I don't know who would categorize as like the person. I guess it's probably Iman. Like Iman's having his event in London. We're going to go to that. Like that's kind of it, but that's a little more broad. It's more people. Welch used to have them that were like the main ones. I guess Cole's for a while. I think you said you went to Cole's, but his was like the one you go to if you're killing it in info coaching.
Yeah. Well, do you know who David Dre is?
Oh, yeah. He was the one who was at consulting.com, right?
Yeah, he was like Sam Ovens. I think he's Sam Ovens' head of sales back in the day. So I partnered with David to do our mastermind. It's called the Dubai Boardroom. So we do it every 6 months, 45 people in Dubai for 3 days. We've done 5 of them now. So that's been really fun to do. And I do the Bali ones as well now. The next one is actually next Saturday. It's only 8 people here at the villa, but that's very fun. So I just make people come to me, so I don't have to go to them. It's way better.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I didn't even know that exists. Now that you say that, I feel like I've seen him make posts or whatever of you guys in like a literal boardroom or something. So who's in the room for those?
It's so broad, man. We have people that are doing 10, 20, 30K a month, people that are doing 300, 500, a million and a half a month. We've slowly got bigger every time. We did 10 people, then we 15, then 25, then 30, now 45. We're going to go a bit bigger for the next one next year. So it's a bit of a mix. It's a bit of a mix, just taken from me and David's network, basically. We just plug it organically and sell the tickets, yeah.
Yeah, and then what's the format? Is it like the people in the room are up giving their spiel, or is it just like round table, or?
It's not the whole like presentations and stuff like that. It's pretty much the same as Sam Ovens' old mastermind. So day one, I get in the room, we go around every person, and I ask everyone, what's your business? How much are you doing a month? What is the main problem or bottleneck? And what's one thing that's working well for you? I write it down for every person, and then we basically pick a problem or a bottleneck and get solving it together, basically, across the weekend. So it's like collaborative, which is it's way more fun. It's way better that way, man. I don't like the big like presentation stuff. It's just not as fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we for the longest time like never even went to conferences, and again, I didn't. We looked at Kohl's for a little bit because we bought Kohl's like middle tier program when we were trying to figure out sales management and trying to figure out the reps. But we never went to that event. But any event we go to is like a conference where we don't go to any of the actual conference at all, and then we end up just hanging out with people outside that are there for the same thing and like do that. But I'm interested to see how Iman's is because we're going to that in 2 weeks in London.
Nice.
And I've heard same thing of theirs. Is like it's very light on terms of presentations, and it's just roundtable hangout. This one's all hosted at one place where like everyone's staying on site, so that's going to be interesting because that's 24/7 for 24/3, I guess 3 days of it, but 24 hours a day is around everyone, which will be interesting.
Yeah, that's so good, man. I think that's going to be really fun. Really fun. Those are the ones that I prefer.
Yeah.
Just like it's kind of really networking and helping each other, rather than like teaching. It's a better vibe.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, cool. I mean, we're running up on an hour 23. You have any other fun, any crazy scale, any crazy story, anything you want to cover?
Crazy scale and crazy stories. Well, I could tell you
generally these are literally just the most ad hoc. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I would say most of these are just the most ad hoc conversations that are, getting to know the person, random convo. I don't want it to be all interviewee or podcasty. I mean, at some level, obviously, this is just naturally a podcast, but yeah, I don't know. Just like what's working now in the business? What are the cool big things? What are the random stories? What are like the in the weeds things that you see? Just, the fun.
Yeah, I mean, dude, for me, YouTube is the key driver. I mean, I could talk about some more technical, tactical bits and bobs, to book more calls that we do on places like Instagram, but
Yeah, let's do it.
YouTube, yeah, well, for sure. Well, dude, one thing that got us way, way, way more calls, and this is, people probably know this already, but just in case they don't. So we just started sending a selfie video of me to every single follower on Instagram, and then chatting to them, qualifying them, setting them. That got us an extra 70, 80 calls a month. So figuring that out, I actually got a message from a setter, and he basically said to me, Will, I work for Charlie Morgan right now. Charlie is about to fire his setting team, so I'm looking for a role. If you like, I can just bring in all his systems, all his processes, put it in your business. I had a call with the guy, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. Came in, 80 extra calls a month, like immediately. So that was amazing to kind of discover that, because we weren't doing anything on Instagram. And otherwise, dude, YouTube-wise, we've had a bit of a breakthrough recently, right? So if we go back about a month ago and back, my YouTube videos used to have like a big description. My book was in there, the Mastermind was in there, my website was in there, my fucking story was in there, the VSL link was in there, and it just got a bit bloated. And we were doing well, we were booking a lot of calls. But recently we deleted everything and just put a link to the VSL right at the fucking top on its own. And dude, we've taken calls up by
I got to look at this live.
So that little tactical tweak has taken us from about 9 calls a day, 10 calls a day area to like 14, 15, 16 calls area, that one change. So it's one of those simple things where it's so obvious, but we just hadn't done it. We hadn't tested it, and immediately we changed it, and straight away we had way more calls. So that's been very impactful. So those are a couple of like tactical little bits and bobs. The Instagram selfie video thing and the YouTube description simplicity thing, that's been a game changer. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got 2 monitors, so I'm hearing and looking and funnel hacking you right now. But yeah, I mean, dude, just your YouTube channel alone, just like the view of it, right? All the thumbnails, the titles, how you go about that structure, like you're clearly crushing it for our niche of the niche. Yeah, this is fantastic. And then so they all go here to this build, grow, exit, and then it's this long form page where they watch this VSL on top, and then. I was like, what is that? It's literally started autoplaying. Very cool. So then they just book in direct, and you've got a Calendly widget that has the questionnaire built in there?
Yeah, that's it, dude. Straight to VSL. There's the whole page with the VSL at the top. They click through to book a call, go to a Calendly, fill out the survey, get booked in. Simple as that. And the team is really simple right now. 3 closers, 1 setter, a VA, copywriter, media buyer. That's it.
It's amazing. That's amazing. I'm gonna pop open X because you got a lot of questions. People watch a lot of your content, so we'll see what some people wanted to answer, and then we can just riff from there. But
okay.
Yeah, what business model niche would the current you tell 23-year-old William to get into?
Dude, I would say either learn a high value skill and then teach it through a coaching program, or don't learn a high value skill, just partner with someone with a skill, build them a coaching program, partner with them, just do info. Like if you want to just rack up cash, like dude, my whole plan is make as much net profit as possible, buy real estate with cash as much as possible. That's my whole plan. That's been my plan for 8 bloody years, right? That's all I've ever done. Make cash, buy real estate with cash. And that is what I would suggest to people, is start an info business, make cash, buy real estate. And that's it.
Yeah, I always talk about that too. there's some young kid that has Josh is going to laugh when he watches this, but he has a thing called Offer Publisher that basically teaches people how to do that model. So it's info or coach or whatever that teaches people how to basically find an expert and build the business model around them.
Yeah.
And then you own a lot of the time majority and you own all the IP. So they do it in a way now where you own like the whole brand and the bank accounts and the whatever. And the expert is like, you know, on the stack, but not the other way around. And I think that's a beautiful model.
Wow. Damn. Dude, that is a fucking great.
So, all right, that's this number. Oh, sorry, there's a lag. Didn't mean to interrupt. But no, it's a cool model. I think that's basically how our model was created. Was that similar way? I came in again. They had done it without me and started without me on that. But I know people who are cruising with that. That'll own 70% of some IP around some niche and hire in experts to come in, and they're on the cap table or the, you know, profit share, whatever thing you want to call it, depending. But they'll do size.
Yeah. So good, man. That is a great model.
Yeah, 100%. All right, next question. Are you still skateboarding from time to time?
Fuck no. I'm fucking 34 years old.
You're in Bali, though. They have that bowl. They have that one, what's that place called that's over there that everyone goes and the bar in the middle, and then there's like the whole skating bowl in the back. You got to go. I think you could do it.
No, dude. Those days, dude, skateboarding, amazing, over. Graffiti, amazing, over. Music was fucking amazing, but I'm glad that's over. Info is the best. Info and real estate, man. That's the best.
That's fun, though. I didn't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot of hobbies. So you did all those? Those were like passion projects of life? Was that during when you were doing that or after?
Nah, it was one by one. So like my first ever thing that I really, really loved was skateboarding, right? And I did that for a few years when I was young. Off the back of skateboarding, I got into graffiti, and I did graffiti for probably 3-4 years, had the magazine, you know, and eventually got bored of that. Through that, I got into music because some of my graffiti friends were DJ. And then I got into DJing and then music, started making my own records, got signed to a pretty good record label. Immediately, I was touring all over the world, which is super fun for about 5 years. But the money was not very good. You know, some months I'd make $4,000, some months I'd make $9,000, some months I'd make $400. So it was so up and down. It taught me capital management. I'll say that. It really taught me capital management. And then I was looking for another way to make money, which led to trading. I saw a trading documentary on TV, opened an account, and that kind of kicked off. That became the education business. So I've always whatever I've loved, I've always made a product out of it, basically. And it's like become a business. That's the recurring theme across my life. I've always loved something, made it a business. Loved something, made it a business, you know?
Yeah. Well, then landing in info and real estate is probably good. They all tie back there anyway. Next one we got on here is his LinkedIn strategy. We definitely need to talk about this.
Oh, the fucking LinkedIn strategy. Well, dude, it's it's really simple. I mean, I've got the copywriter who writes copy. He also posts it. I think we do one a day now. That shows how professional I am. I don't even know what we fucking do on a key platform.
I don't even know the distribution cadence.
I think we do one post a day, and my setter goes in the inbox, chats to people, sets people. We don't book many calls from it. We only book not many, 10, 15, 20 a month. But that's the strategy. Post content, message people, set them, close them. That's it, really.
How are you tracking, kind of technical question, but how are you tracking that, 70% of them come from, YouTube, 20% here, just from the form that's on the questionnaire, or do you have like a technical back-end version of that?
It's just Hyros. Yeah, we just have the Hyros tag on.
Yeah.
So the LinkedIn setter would have a LinkedIn tag, and Instagram would have an Instagram tag. So we just feed it into Hyros.
Yeah, so do we. We use Hyros for the journey so we can see it, and then we use like a custom setup to feed the pixel because we're doing so much paid ads. But if we weren't doing paid, and I would still pay for it just for the journey. Like being able to click in there, I think they do the best with that.
Definitely, mate.
Yeah. Have you, so when you were quick on Becker, I mean, you're a longtime Becker consumer, right? Like you've seen his stuff for a while then if you were in Iron.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, did you do stuff like before that, like any of his ecom journey and that whole piece, or was I mean he did a lot of things before that, but talk about a guy who just crushed it and just took a hold of what he wanted to do and the person he wanted to be, and it's just like his lifestyle now, his how he continues to be like raw, authentic himself and not some I mean I guess he is some character, but like I think that character is actually him. The software play, the info play, the bigger now software AI stuff, the crypto play, like what an evolution of a human.
Yeah, dude, it's so inspiring, man. I think Alex has definitely inspired that part in me of just simplicity, no stupid shit. I've never wasted money. I've never bought a supercar. I've never bought a particularly expensive watch. I've never really wasted money. My dad always like sowed the seeds of doubt in my head, and ever since I was young, my dad was always like, save all your money, make sure you invest it well, don't waste it. It could go away tomorrow. And he would always say that. So I think, like, I took a lot from Becker in terms of just keep it real and just do what you want to do and focus and don't be a knob, basically. But, yeah, dude, I just found Becker probably 2019. And then I remember I was DJing in London one night. I was in the hotel and I saw a YouTube ad for Iron. And I booked a call and bought it a few days later and changed my life for sure, man. So
yeah, interesting. So that was that was the core one that drove this last business was Iron.
Oh, dude, by far, yeah. So I started the last company in 2018, and it was just organic until I found Becker, and we weren't doing a lot of money. We were doing 30K a month, 40K a month organically, and then I found Becker, and dude, like. I learned what a funnel was. I learned what YouTube ads were. I learned how to write copy, all of that stuff. And that is what got us from 30, 40 a month to fucking hundreds a month. It's pretty much all thanks to that program. So
yeah. Yeah, it was so smart of him to like Trojan horse I mean, he even says, they say it on the sales call, it's like, we don't even care about the money, the $5,000 or the $10,000 or whatever. It's, I think six. I think it was actually that. And him being like, no, the whole goal is to get you to a size and show you how much you need Hyros. And was getting all of these high ticket, like these whales in this thing into Hyros. And then it just spread like wildfire. I mean,
so smart.
What an interesting play.
So smart, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his exit too, right?
Yeah. I think he sold... I don't think he sold the full thing. I think he did something similar to me where he sold a big percentage or something. But yeah, nonetheless, amazing.
Yeah. I've heard multiple numbers. I've had people in my DMs that have said different things like, oh, the company that bought it and it was a stock deal and it went to, 99% down. I've heard people say the deal didn't go through, like all this stuff. And it's like, bro, who cares? Like he's clearly doing fine. He's clearly doing quite well for himself across his multiple ventures of life and personality. Like what a cool business in the space that he's been in forever. And then all the stuff he's done with crypto is hilarious. 1 and 2, clearly very profitable for him.
Yeah, he's just funny, isn't he? He's just like a fucking good guy.
He's just funny. Yeah, that's what I mean. He's just so authentically him, at least what I think. But like, even in the private groups or the small stuff, like that's how he acts and talks. And then he just brought it to the public, right? And like, he just has just stays on that wave.
He's a G. He's a fucking G.
He's a G. He's an absolute G. What else we got in these questions? Here you go. How does he look at exiting info business, and should you even try to optimize for it? So this is kind of reframing this. What is the curriculum or approach that you use for that back end product for the exit portion?
Yeah, right. Well, to answer that question, I may or may not sell or try to sell this company in the future. Right now, it's like very unsellable. But let me tell you how I would sell it, right? Because that will probably show how I think about the exit process, right? So if I wanted to sell this company, firstly, I would decide on a number that I wanted to sell for. So I've got a goal and a target, right? Let's just say 10 million, right? So I want to sell this for 10 million. Well, like my last company was, it'll probably be seen as a media business and valued at around 2.5 to 4x. So let's say we're going to sell for 4x, for example. So I want 10 million. So I'd need to be doing about 2.5 million a year EBITDA. 2.5 times 4 gets me to 10 million. So right, well now we need to get to 2.5 EBITDA. And then obviously we need to start thinking about removing key man risk, hedging out the organic, or bringing in other personalities with their own organic to feed it into the brand. We need to have very clean, organized financials. We need to have a good-looking, solid track record. We need to have a good story as to why would someone want to buy us? Like, what could they do next? Where could they take it? Is it a financial buyer that they're buying for the money? Is it a strategic buyer they're buying to do something with it? And just start getting to where you want to be EBITDA-wise, thinking about who you want to sell to, and getting the business in a saleable position. And I think that you should sell your company, because it's either sell it or put it in the bin. And it's either just turn it off and have nothing, or at least sell it and get some fucking money to walk away with, because I think you'd be stupid to just turn it off. So I think that's what I would do, and that's what I think people should do.
Yeah. My dad's always said, like, again, landscape and snow, but sorry. Oh, there you go. The lag is hilarious. So I apologize if I'm interrupting. But my dad always says, he has a mentor that said this. It was like, you either exit the business, you sell it, or you exit it in your boots, right? And that's what a lot of these guys do. That's what 99% of businesses do, right? Is they go out on a stretcher, right? And it just goes onto the airs, it closes down, it whatever. Like you just die in your boots. And that is just like a terrifying thought, that both in lifestyle of like, you never actually did the thing you were building for, the whatever that is, the freedom, the number, the whatever, and you just never made it. Yeah. Or you got into a position where, it's just a very interesting frame to think about. If you don't cash flow heavy on the way up and actually continue to live your life throughout it, and you just never hit it, then you optimize and you optimize and you try, and you're going for some goal that you essentially never hit in your life, which is crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I think like you should prioritize net profit, build a bed of wealth, so that even if you don't sell, you're still good. I think box number one that you need to tick is just get yourself solid. Save up a good amount of cash, maybe $1 million, $2 million cash. Buy a home with cash, so at least you're solid. You've got a home paid off, you're good. That's like level one to me. And then if you don't sell, that's okay. If you do sell, even fucking better. You've got more cash to invest. That was my playbook, essentially.
Yeah. I got to ask. So for your Bali situation, those are like 100-year leases, right?
No, 30 years.
30-year leases. So you you get 30-year, so you pay your $1 million and you get it for 30 years. And what happens in 30 years? I never understood this.
Yeah. So this place was 900,000 US for 30 years and 100,000 for an extra 30 years. So I got literally $1 million cash for 60 years.
Oh, wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Like, what happens in 60 years?
Well,
I mean, I guess nobody knows, but like, how has it happened? Have they done this for 60 years already, or 30 years where you've seen what happens on the re-up?
Dude, give me 2 seconds to have a wee. I'm fucking dying for a wee. I can't concentrate. Literally give me 10 seconds, all right? And I'll be back. Just 2 minutes.
Okay, we'll just sit here, and just me and the audience will sit here and stare at each other. That's why I like these conversations. They're raw, they're authentic. What's up, guys? Just you and me right now. If you're still here, we're at what? I got to open this up. We are rocking an hour and 42. So comment 1.5, which is not true for anything, but just comment 1.5 if you're still here and we're just still jamming about random shit.
Oh, dude, I was dying for a fucking piss. Needed that so bad. All right.
That's my bad. No, yeah, I was just talking one to one. I was like, comment 1.5 if you're still here right now. This might have to be the first one I edit where I edit a clip, or I might just leave. I honestly might just leave it raw, dead silence for like 20 seconds, just for the keep on brand.
We both make raw YouTube
Yeah,
videos.
just leave it.
This is raw. This is raw. This is what it's
This
all
is
about.
real. This is real life. Two dudes jamming 12 hours apart.
Exactly. But anyway, yeah, so my landlord actually lives in the little village behind the house. And when I bought it, they said to me, Indonesians, like, they don't want to inflate their lifestyle, so they would never need the land back, because what they're going to do with a mansion, they don't even want one. So you can probably just keep buying 30 years, 30 years, 30 years. The price will go up. So that 100K for 30 years now might be, I don't know, $250,000 for 30 years later. But dude, I'm 34. The 60-year lease takes me up to 94 years old. You know, I'm probably going to be done by then, you know.
Yeah, that's a fair expectation. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I see all those guys do it. I don't know. The time zones for me, that's the other piece of like the freedom aspect is me and my buddies have always talked about, oh, let's go do 3 months in Gold Coast, or let's go do this or that. And it's like, I've always been like, oh, when the cash flow is X and when the lifestyle more so, when I don't have these like meetings, and that's what I do. I operate the meetings, right? I operate the main cadence, that stuff. So I would live this completely like dual lifestyle where I'm midnight basically taking calls or doing stuff. And it's like, that's not a freedom life either. So how big does this have to get, or how operationally, you know, machine to where we're not doing those and it's more checking in, you know, yeah, just that kind of style of things. You hear about the guys like Tony or I'm blanking right now, but you know, that run 50 companies and have all these CEOs everywhere and bounce around and live like this whole life. But then that happens. I don't know, just not even there and skill set wise to get there.
I hear that. For me, I think if I still had like a bigger business, a bigger team, a bigger operation, I might not have been able to move here because of the timeline, so the time zone. But right now, people do calls kind of on my, like, I get to choose, you know, so they kind of just have to do the calls. But it's pretty good. The time zone's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
I think this time zone's better than Dubai, because you can get up early, take calls at 8, that kind of thing, and you're still hitting US. That'd be 8 p.m. for you guys, so
yeah,
it's not too bad at all. It's not too bad at all. And it's worth it to be here.
Yeah. I'm one of those people, everyone. I'm fitting Williams time zones and getting up at 4 or getting up at 3 a.m. to do calls, and it works. So lifestyle by design, baby. But no, I love it. And I also think that because I'm like a 4 a.m., 5 a.m. kind of naturally, but not usually these. Like I'll build during these times. So on that time zone, it does work well for end of EST or those PST people, right? Where it's 1 to 5 p.m. And for you, it's, you know, 3, 4, 5 a.m. That would be good for me. But then you live that lifestyle of you're in bed by 8 or 9 p.m., which is actually kind of how I live right now. But like, yeah, it's just the time zone thing has always been difficult. Our team is majority on North America, is like North American time zones. We have some media buyers and stuff that are in Europe, but they make all the team meetings that we have, or the, you know, 1 or 2 a week that we have, and optimize for our schedule. So kind of similar. But again, all around North America. So you go anywhere outside of that, and it's like this London trip. I'm like, am I going to be okay? Like, that's crazy that like I don't have the freedom level of an 8-hour time difference or whatever it is to be like, what happens to my meeting schedule? Or like, what if there's a fire? Like, I just haven't gotten there.
You're in the weeds. You're in the weeds.
I'm in the weeds. Dude, I am in so hard in the weeds right now. Like, everyone's going to torch me in the comments because they're going to be like, you talk too much, or this is about William, not you. And this is a conversation I like to have versus an interview style. But my life right now is 16 hours a day at this desk and doing 8 hours of what could be work. Like, it's so scattered. It's the YouTube and X every single day. It's the checking Slack every 12 minutes. It's all the team meetings. And then we're ramping a CMO. So you know how that is, right? Like hours a day of in that world. We checked that box, and now we did the same thing with sales. And now I'm about to do the same thing with data, tech, and fulfillment, because I'm trying to build it to where I have a C-level that I work with, not I'm in the weeds of everyone's stuff. And like, I see the other side. I see the you know, the light at the end of the tunnel. But in current state, oh my gosh, I have no personal life whatsoever right now.
Yeah, it makes me think, because, dude, good God, I was there as well. I would just get up and work all fucking day, 7 days a week for years. for fucking years, you know, and it makes me think either, was that just a season and I've got it out of the way now and this is my next season and maybe I'll go back into that season later? Or was I doing it wrong? Is there a way to do it without working the hours under the sun and with more balance? If there is, I don't know it and I'd like to know it. I think you've either got to be all in like you or kind of be all out like me right now. I don't think there's a middle ground, really. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you see it, right, where there are people, but like to get the result, right, is I think really those two options. Like if the goal is what the goal is, right, and yours is very clear and you are hitting it, right, and then ours is clear and we're almost not hitting it with all the effort and the work and the team and stuff. We haven't hit it yet, but like when we do, it's like, okay, now we live in this new land of, can we truly go 2 weeks? You know, I heard a Hormozy thing talking about how they go on like 2-week fake vacations basically and pressure test the company. And they'll go, 2 weeks without response. I don't know, what the actuals are. And this is me putting words in people's mouths. So, but like, are they not answering anything? Are they only answering by email, but not solving anything? Are they, once a day? I don't know what it actually looks like, but talk about a way to pressure test on like, does the company grow? Does it maintain? Are there fires that only you're able to put out? Now you need to hire for that. Does the P&L support that where you can hire for those positions, or is it not big enough yet? Like,
yeah, do it. Yeah. I did that myself during our acquisition. For I think the first time ever, I went to Thailand with my girlfriend for 2 weeks, and I was like, right, guys, I'm gonna try my hardest to not look at Slack. I'm not gonna look at Hyros or the calendar. I'm not gonna be on any of the meetings, and let's just see what happens. And we had one of our best 2-week periods that we'd ever had. So I was like, it does run without me. And it actually does better without me being in the fucking weeds, shouting at everybody all the time. So,
yeah. Yeah. The other thing that we have is there's like I don't like to talk about like the net numbers and all of that. Like I talk about growth, like, roughly and like what a healthy margin is and stuff like that and talk rough, but we have business partners. So I don't really want to like they didn't choose to come out and say what their incomes are and stuff like that. So I don't think it's fair or like what the cap table is, but, the beauty and the demise version of having partners like that is like, obviously you're splitting the pie, which is so real. So, let's just say it's thirds. Let's just say, you need to do 3 times the amount to make the same amount, which is a whole nother thing to add to this is, your 100K in profit is not 100K in profit. Let's say it's 33, like ish, let's just say. That's a whole nother thing of like, how much size do you need? But the beauty of that though has been, in the past, there is some overlap on if these people are out or like one, owner, co-founder, whatever is out, the other people can kind of pick up the slack, or there's always some level of leadership in there. But talk about overlap in a negative way of where you kind of have similar skill sets or you kind of do the same thing, the splitting of the, profits and the cash of the company. And then it's just kind of difficult because it's like once you get to a certain size you can't have founder risk at all. So it's like all 3 of you are out. And for us, it was marketing and sales, basically with one of the co-founders. He's very like he's very, very much like us. Like we're like thick as thieves. So he's like the internet marketing version guy. He leaned into all marketing and sales. He was the one spending and doing the media buying up to like 20K a day, like all of that world. And then has now built out a team. Sales, very similar. The other co-founder was like product face, the expert, right? So differentiation there. And then mine was like tech systems and now more so like ops, right? Because that just scales to being people, what was once automations, tech, and like framework. And to this day, I do all the marketing tech. So like I am the linchpin of that port, or like the just break point of, we want reporting around this, or we're going to launch, these 3 new VSL funnels. I'm getting looms yesterday of like, hey, we need custom, like, how are we going to track this? And I got to do all the HubSpot setup. So yesterday was the first day ever that I've done this, but I hired a marketing tech yesterday that came from XYZ company that we can talk about offline, but has direct experience, the entire software stack, the entire thing. And like, that may be my unlock that I've been missing for 2 years or 3 years since I've been trying to like lean into doing this one and still holding my little tech zone. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, dude, I was just about to ask you that. I was just about to ask, like, when are you going to hedge yourself out and think about bringing someone in? And then you answered it. You beat me to it. But have you ever heard of a guy called Wes Watson?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot that I don't really kind of, believe in about what Wes kind of says and does as such. I've never met him. I don't really know him. But a little while ago, I saw him say something like, if you can do it, just do it yourself. And I think there's a time and the place for that to be true or not. I think in your case, that's not true. I think in my case, that is true. But for me, I think you should... God, it just depends what profit margin you want. It just depends what fucking profit margin you want.
Yeah.
And how much work you want to do. That's what it comes down to. And there's no such thing as a good or a bad margin.
Yeah.
Like you've had people on the channel that are doing sick, 1, 2, 3 mil a month. I don't know what their margin is, but it's like, it's just what you want. And I'm a big believer, build the business how you fucking want it. And don't let it run away from you. Don't let it become a Frankenstein like I did with my last company, because I ended up with a business that controlled me instead of me controlling it. It wasn't nice.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like that's that constant game is like how much do you want to sacrifice of profit? Like the West model, right? It's like do it yourself. And like he's just a workhorse. Like that guy's an animal, right? He crushed. I saw him speak at Josh Snow has a mastermind, or used to have a mastermind, and we went to a couple of things, and he had him come there and speak, and he's just so intense. Like his numbers are crazy, right? He does like the most unconventional. They do, DMs for high ticket basically, and he'll just, fire off a Stripe link. He's like, I answer all the DMs, like who needs setters? Like he's intense. He's intense, but yeah, it's lifestyle, right? Like he wants to and lives that lifestyle kind of naturally, clearly. But yeah, that's an interesting one. Next question on here is a fun one. Is life as exciting after the exit?
Is life exciting? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. In a different way, right? So when I was building that business, the excitement was, can we build it? Can we grow it? Can we scale it? Can we sell it? How big can we take it? So it was exciting to learn it all and do it all and discover it all, right? And now the exciting part is having the control that I didn't used to have. Because when I was building that business, especially towards the start, I mean, I founded it from my mum's spare room, and I was broke as fuck, So it was, there was a lot of importance on getting capital for freedom and choice. And now I've got a lot of capital and freedom and choice. So the exciting thing now is I can do what the fuck I want. If I want to scale, I can scale. If I don't want to scale, I can not scale. If I want to hire, I can hire amazing people. If I want to run ads, I've got loads of money to put into ads. So now the excitement is control and freedom and a bit more maneuverability now. So equally as exciting, just different types of exciting.
Yeah. I respect so much. I feel like if you hot keyworded this entire transcript, it's like the amount of time you talk about the choosing the goal, identifying it for yourself, freedom, lifestyle by design. Like I feel like you've really like nailed that, right? And like that, you're just like a living execution of that. And that's cool to me. That's what your real goal is, it sounds like, and you're hitting it over and over again. And it changes in the seasons, and like the goal does shift, but hit it, move to the next one, take some time to sit, reflect, get a Bali villa, pick the next one, build it again. Like it's just this game of like iteration, which I respect. I think that's cool.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. All right, last tactical one, and then we're already at 2 hours, which is hilarious. YouTube long form tips for someone who wants to sell a product. I can ask this selfishly as well. I don't want to sell anything, but like I'm leaving so much meat on the bone, and a lot of people are. Yeah. There's a lot of the pros out there who are willing to, everyone is selling the personal branding, the how-to content stuff. Iman led this charge, and now everyone sells it. So what are your tips for specifically your style? Like how have you approached your content machine?
Yeah, for sure. Well, God, there's a lot to talk about, but I'll just give you some nuggets. So one thing that's very important to me is the background and the setting of the video, because that like subconsciously communicates like communicates things so you can kind of pick what you want it to communicate. So I almost kind of design a set for the background of my office. You know, Dubai was the skyline, the 10 mil award, the bookshelf and stuff like that. Here it's like the rice field view and stuff. And I just like the background to look clean and professional, like you've actually put effort into it. So that's one thing that's important to me. Another thing is just to keep it as real as possible in the videos. If you stumble, leave it in. If you mess up a word, leave it in, right? And if you can, don't script it and don't have bullet points. For me, I put 80% of my effort into the title. So the title always comes first for me. When I've got a title, then I just start making a script in my head of like what I want to say. I just leave it in my head for a few days to start just coming together. And then I hit record, talk, stop, upload, and just keep it as real as possible. There are occasions where I reshoot if I really lose my path and mess it up, but it's pretty damn rare. So number one, setting. Number two, just keep it real and keep it raw. And number three, like just the title carries a lot of weight for me. And if there's one thing that I've learned, right, it's all in the idea. If you have a great idea, a unique, one of my buddies who has a massive YouTube channel, he called it Remarkable. If your video is remarkable, like I sold my company to a private equity firm for millions, and it's a remarkable video, you will win. You will get fuck tons of views and traction.
Yeah.
So just try and think of the most unique, remarkable titles and ideas possible. And if you do those three things, you're pretty far ahead, to be honest. And also, like we were talking about earlier, on the tactical side, for God's sakes, put your fucking VSL at the top of the description and make sure it's obvious where people should go, right? As obvious as that sounds, a lot of people don't do that, you know? Stuff like that.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, I'm not optimizing any of that, right? Like the one thing that people keep telling me, if there was like the 80-20 or the 99-1 is the packaging of these things, which is what you just said, right? Like the title and the big idea. What's the big idea and nailing that?
Dude, one other thing that I will say as well is basically don't have a thumbnail, right? Just have the simplest, cleanest, most ambiguous thumbnail that you can, because then all attention goes on the title. So instead of trying to make a great title thumbnail combination, one thing that's worked best for me is having a blank thumbnail that doesn't really tell you anything about the video, because then people have to look at the title to find out what it's about. And then if you're good at titles, that is a big edge. So that's one thing that's worked for me, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously it's going to be different for, entertainment, or it's going to be different for this niche or the how to like that. But I am existing, exactly within yours. So it's super helpful for me. A lot of people told me that they were like, hey, just make them super raw, do a screenshot. Cause I do everything on Miro. Cause I do need the bullets in order to keep me on track, or I'll just tangent. And like, sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not. And I don't want to have to, I'm a one take kind of guy too. Like, it takes me 30 tries to get through the beginning and then to like re-record to like try and nail that beginning and like, here's what we're going to talk about. And then once I break through one time, it's like, cool, I can go for 20 minutes or 40 minutes because then it's raw. I don't care if there's little blips and stuff, but I just feel like the intro is so important. And I even do a terrible job of my intro. It's like title, quick, here's what we're going to cover. And then I do like the social proof, like, we did 30 million last year. We've done 75 in total. I'm not selling you anything, whatever. It like takes too long. It's just choppy, but trying to do them every day has been very difficult for me to keep within a small time frame.
Yeah, you know what? So one thing I thought way back in the day when I was starting this channel, I remember thinking, what video would I love to watch? And I thought, man, I would love it if Sam Ovens just sat there and told me lessons without any plan or editing. I thought, wow, that'd be amazing. What Alex Becker doing the same thing, Cole Gordon, whoever. So I thought, well, if that's what I would want, well, let me just try and give that to my audience and see if they want it. Because, if I want it, there's probably other people that do. And that's been very true. A lot of people have said to me, man, like, I just like how you just tell us stuff in a very real, chilled out way. Same for you as well,
Yeah, no, I mean your stuff's great. Like I just found that section that's like, what other channels do people watch? And I kind of clicked through them, and I'd already watched a handful of your videos, but I binged, and I don't know. I love this style. I do this style. It's what I like to consume, and you got to assume that the person that watches it is someone who's similar to us, who doesn't want the crazy editing and the flashy this and that and the pre-recorded stuff. I try and watch them every once in a while because I'm like, oh, that's like a great title, or like, oh, that would be so interesting. And I get so lost in like I don't know. I like can't do that style of consumption even when it's like all flashy. I'll throw them on 2.5x or try and skip around to just like the tactical portion just for how I operate. So I think we serve a niche of people that do. It is interesting to me, like the watch time, and I'd be like, I don't know where yours sits, but I do ramble a bit. I do kind of go in these directions as we're doing here, but like there's people that I just threw on there like, oh, 1.5, comment 1.5. And the amount of people that watch full through is very interesting to me, but the blended number is very low. It's 7 minutes, it's 12 minutes, it's whatever. And most of my videos are say 20. So it's sub 50%, which is like not good, right? The retention is not fantastic. But the people that do consume and having the ability for people to consume if they want to, I think is like a pretty cool moat of like where someone can get to know you, can understand how you think, like you said. Because there's plenty of people. Jackie Chow is a great example. He does like a build in public thing. He's a big SEO guy, and he does like a daily video. And when I came upon his stuff, I literally clicked on a playlist and flipped it on its head so I could start in the beginning and watched like I was in Puerto Rico and bored and whatever and was working, threw it up on this screen, and I seriously had to have watched tens of hours over a couple days of just every video in a row and just got to think about like how he sees things and all that.
Dude, I did that with your channel as well. When I first found it, I went on, I went to the oldest first and just started watching every single one in order. I was doing that last night as well. I was having a cigar outside and I picked up where I left off and just watched like 7 in a row. And I think people like us generally will watch the entire thing, even if it takes a little while. But for me, for my channel, all I look at is views and booked calls. I don't look at click-through rate. I don't look at watch time. I'm just like, how many views, how many calls? That's all I care about.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's the result. That's the goal you're going for, right? Do you do anything within the videos? I mean, I kind of already know the answer, but for everyone who hasn't, do you do anything in the videos to kind of frame for that call, like your CTAs and all that, just for anyone who's listening?
Dude, most of the time I forget to do it. Most of the time I don't do it. Sometimes I do if I remember, but I almost don't want to give people a call to action. I want people to choose to go looking for a call to action, because then the intent is so much better,
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I watched some of them, and some are kind of there, but yeah, majority of it's just like good quality content that then people are drawn to do it. I think the Hormozy model of that and how like they definitely optimize, right? They have that example where it's like the links are right there. They do the comment with the pinned one, like they optimize for the click, but he layers in some CTAs, but they do such a good job of doing it as like the true lowest hanging fruit, the book, the whatever free courses, like. Talk about value. The courses that are on their site, I don't know if you've ever gone through those, like the scale, the leads. He has full courses that basically go along with the books that he's created that are on his site that are tens of hours. Like, something someone would charge 10 grand for. Yeah. On acquisition.com, it's like the learn whatever. Actually, I have it open right now.
Wow.
They have a thing on top of their site called courses. It's scaling, offers, and leads. And you click on scaling, it's like 16 hours or something. Offers one is the entire book. Leads is so it's cool. But he pushes those in the comments a lot. And anyone who consumes that is going to like his model of if you're a beginner and go to school, and if you're more advanced or already building, go into here, and now having all the workshop and education layers, and then the back end being, oh, we're going to own a portion of your company, either buying it or just receiving it, is so cool to me.
Yeah, dude, if you can do that, that is the best model. You're doing that right now. You're giving mad value away for free. You will be doing this for a very long time. You might put out some free courses and stuff as well. And then eventually you're just going to have immense deal flow, and you can just be very picky about consulting. You can be very picky about, you might partner with people. So it's a great play. It's a great play.
Yeah. Yeah, the true goal of this entire thing was the network more than anything. It was like, in the cave for however many years, and like didn't leave the apartment, let alone leave the virtual apartment and like go, try and meet like friends or network or whatever you want to call it online at all. Nothing on Instagram, no X, obviously no YouTube. And it's been astounding to me, the level of quality, the positive feedback loop. Like, it's crazy that I did not do this earlier. I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it obviously allowed me to kind of come into it with enough that at least I think is a little bit valuable to share and like spew from my brain. Because all I've done is consume for 10 years. All I've done is just be a and like, obviously implemented it and have some experience and a little bit of skill around it. But a majority of what it's been is just like regurgitated or, consumption based stuff. And now it's the complete opposite. It's like, I feel like I hate it at some level, where it's like I don't feel as much student. I like the teaching aspect, because you have to like simplify it and think of it in a good way in order to explain it or teach it. I think there's huge value in that. But the lack of consumption I have now, and just spewing and like, I don't know, I feel like it can kind of come off as like I know everything, or like this ego play, and that's the last thing I want. So that's why I try and share like the L's and like the what's hard now and what's happening. But yeah, I don't know, it's like that dance, I feel like.
I definitely agree with that. I try and, like I did with you earlier, I was trying to admit some of the stupid shit that I've done, to just show people like I'm not some crazy god guy. I'm just a random idiot who's learned a few things and done it for a while, So it's funny.
Yeah. All right, we're coming up on 2, or we're over 2 now. Anything you want to leave everyone with, or any other final topics you want to cover?
I think we've covered a lot. Yeah, we've ran for a while.
I think we've covered a lot. Yeah.
It's been fun.
We've seen the sun go down in your background, so we've probably hit about our time. My sun's coming up right now, actually, so it's perfect.
So good, man. So good. Yeah, no, it's been fun. Hopefully.
Well, cool, man. Yeah. No, it's been fantastic. I definitely want to stay in touch. What is, actually, last question on this, who is like your ideal, like right now, ICP? I mean, I know you have multiple offerings and everything low ticket, which is probably more beginnery, or, I actually probably not, because it's someone who's building and scaling. But yeah, who's the ICP?
Yeah, I mean, the ideal ICP is someone who's already going, but they're small. There's a lot that they don't know. There's a lot that they need help with. Like, I can double, triple, quadruple those people's businesses so fucking fast. So if there's someone watching this and you're at 5K, 10K, 20K, 30K, 40, 50-ish range, dude, I can grow the hell out of your business. So that's the ideal. But honestly, we can work with anyone. Anyone that has a skill, a talent, specialist knowledge that they want to package up and sell at a high level, high profit level, kind of like I'm doing, is a perfect fit, I would say.
Interesting. Yeah. I wouldn't imagine that it was that like low of a threshold, but it completely makes sense. The ability to 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So, all right. Well, anybody, there's tons of people who watch this, I'm sure, that have that. So William actually sells things and gets people results. So go check it out. I just spew. So you guys rock. I appreciate you. Let's definitely stay in touch. Let's do, I want to do an update on this in X amount of months or whatever, as this evolves, maybe even, a year down the road, when we get in a position where we're on the exit side of things, or not, or we completely change the model and go back to being, hey, this is going to be a big cash cow like we thought it was going to be forever up until 6 months ago. So things change quickly.
Let's see. We'll revisit this later.
We will. All right. You guys know where to find him. Search his name. He's on X. He's on YouTube, crushing. So I will talk to you all tomorrow. What's today? The 31st. So tomorrow I'll do the month in review video and have some fun updates on where we hit last month. So talk to you guys soon.